Post-apocalypse. Beginning by hoarding 10 billion supplies. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 401. I will definitely go to you. Myung nodded and made his promise. He does what he says. Good. I believe in you. Lee Han-yu smiled in Myung's arms. I saw Lee Han-yu kissing Myung's lips. This is a kiss of promise. Don't forget me. Don't forget to find me in the depths of the universe. Looking at Myung, who was still confused, Lee Han-yu spoke. Good. Definitely. Myung touched his warm lips at this time and nodded. But it's going to be a short time. At this time, Chuan Tian's voice appeared. Seeing you two so reluctant, it makes me a little sad. Chuan Tian looked at the two and spoke again. Sister Shan. Lee Han-yu also touched her head embarrassedly. After all, the main palace of the people is here. Would you like to kiss me too? Chuan Tian approached Lee Han-yu, and the hostess's momentum rose sharply. I'm leaving. Lee Han-yu was slightly embarrassed, waved her hand, and turned to leave. Who are you? Looking at Chuan Tian, who put his goddess in an embarrassing situation, a soldier of the second civilization stood up and showed favor to his goddess. Get out of here. Chuan Tian didn't even raise his head, not giving him any face. How dare you? This soldier did not expect that Chuan Tian would not give himself face so much. Okay, Sister Shan let you go aside, and you will go along. Lee Han-yu also turned around and spoke at this time. Yes. The soldier bowed his head and quickly returned to the battleship. Wait a minute. Chuan Tian opened his mouth coldly, finished arrogant with himself, and left like this? This young lady, stop here. The old man stepped forward at this time, holding Lee Han-yu, and wanting to push Lee Han-yu away. No wonder they doted on Lee Han-yu so much. The goddess was too important for the second civilization. So far? Chuan Tian smiled coldly. Lee Han-yu, I'm not targeting you. In the last days, I also accept that men have a few confidant women. Even if you and I serve together, it doesn't matter anything. But your subordinates, like this to me, are you silent? Chuan Tian looked at Lee Han-yu and asked. Sister Shan, I was just embarrassed for a moment and didn't react. Just arrived Lee Han-yu's true feelings. After being broken by Lee Han-yu, he was extremely embarrassed for a while, so he never reacted. This young lady, although you are a friend of our goddess, you are not qualified to speak with our goddess in this tone. At this time, the old man, as if watching the excitement was not too big, spoke again. Not qualified. I'm not qualified? What is your second civilization? Dare to say that I'm not qualified? Chuan Tian, who heard these words, was finally furious. Chuan Tian is my woman, and it is not your turn to guide. Myung was in the rear, and when he heard that the old man dared to say this about his woman, his brows frowned. They helped themselves to reinvent the Dragon Court, which was a blessing. However, humiliating his own woman, Myung could not endure it. Lee Han-yu, I know this is not what you meant. However, I, Chuan Tian, am not a person who eats this key. Chuan Tian waved his hand, signaling that Myung did not have to interject. Miss, I just said the wrong thing. Okay. The old man sighed. At this time, he didn't want to entangle too much here. After all, there is still the great Xia Divine Son here. Once injured by mistake, it is difficult to explain. Goddess. At this time, the three of Kilin were also not afraid of each other's strength and stood in front of Chuan Tian. They also did not allow their goddesses to be a little wronged. Sister Shan, just now I also showed my true feelings. You and I are all the same kind of people. I have no complicated ideas. Please rest assured. Lee Han-yu looked at Chuan Tian and spoke apologetically. Guarding people's main palace, to do that kind of thing is really not good. You also underestimated me, and I also said that I don't have emotions for the sake of children's love. Chuan Tian shook his head and signaled that the three of Kilin did not need to be so nervous. All the best. I'll go to my sister then. Chuan Tian took 2 steps back. Jingo. Just after everyone in the second civilization returned to the battleship, Chuan Tian's voice appeared directly in the battleship. What man? The old man stood up and looked around. Don't look for it, Sister Cheyenne is below. Yihanayu rolled her eyes. You are a king in the middle of the middle stage. The direction of the voice is not clear. How did you know my name? The old man looked at Chuantian, a 10th order supernatural of the 9th civilization. How could he know his information? I don't deserve what you just said. I remembered that, if you have any needs in the future, when you need the help of the 3rd civilization, you will also get these 2 words. Chuantian did not answer his question, but coldly said something that made his eyes excited. What? What the? The old man is stunned. The 3rd civilization, my own 2nd civilization and the 3rd civilization have always been on good terms. What does she have to do with the 3rd civilization? The old man muttered to himself in confusion. She is the goddess of the 3rd civilization. Yihanayu replied angrily on the side. What? Isn't she just the goddess of the 9th civilization, the beast race? How did she suddenly become a goddess of the 3rd civilization? I haven't heard the 3rd civilization say this. The old man wants to cry without tears. Chuantian still has this identity? I'm the goddess of the 2nd civilization. Did you tell the 3rd civilization? You just didn't interject. There was nothing. You had to pose for music, and it was so difficult for me to do it. Yihanayu rolled her eyes, but she didn't get angry. After all, she and Chuantian know each other, and they will not have a mustard in their hearts. This is. The old man took a deep breath. The goddess could only be born in a place among trillions. Who would reveal this to other civilizations? Even if it is its own civilization, only the most core personnel know it. Of course, someone as crazy as Dazire is the only one. She is a goddess of the beast race, and the beast tribe is willing to worship her as a goddess. I, a goddess, are destined by heaven and earth. Yihanayu spoke again, making the old man feel more and more that his brain was funny. Because it's a matter of common sense. Then, such a small place, 2 goddesses, 1 godson. The old man still spoke in disbelief. It's not that his brain show is funny, but he can't imagine that a small dragon court can have 2 goddesses, a great godson. My dear uncle is the goddess of 3 civilizations and the goddess of 1 civilization. Yihanayu rolled her eyes again. This old man still underestimated. Chapter 402. 3 goddesses? The old man was even more confused at this time. He never expected it. A small dragon court with 3 goddesses and a great godson? This sounds like a fantasy. After all, those who can become a civilization have extremely deep roots. Moreover, the number of people is also extremely large. A civilization can only give birth to a goddess or son. You have a dragon court, such a small place. There are 3 goddesses, a godson. Point, this is not their self-style. Just like Mu Yun, the son of God, Daksha had issued an ultimatum to them for Mu Yun. And another. Which one? Jinja opened the picture that had just been in the dragon court and asked Yihanayu. That's her. Yihanayu pointed to Coco and said, goddess of the 4th civilization. Yihanayu spoke coldly. Ah, this. The hope of the first 4 civilizations was so placed in front of him? So what was he just doing so rampantly? Then he also said that Yihanayu was not worthy of what to do. A civilized goddess is not worthy of saying this sentence. I understand Sister Shan, what she just said. You must pay attention in the future. Yihanayu looked at the confused Jinja and said. Ugh. Jinja looked bitter. Of course he knew that Yihanayu could not deceive him. But with Mu Yun here, there won't be any problems. Yihanayu looked at such a painful Jinja and comforted. However, why do they still want to be goddesses of 1 race in Blue Star? Even this great Zaya divine son didn't even accept the inheritance. Jingo asked a little puzzled. Do you think that all civilizations are like you, and the goddess awakens, and will bring it back non-stop to help you? Doesn't that goddess need to be trained? Yihanayu said angrily. Yes. The point is that we miss the goddess too much. Didn't we hold back, isn't it? The old man smiled, hiding his embarrassment. At this time, the dragon court. Sister Cheyenne, don't be angry. Coco took Chuantian's hand and opened her mouth to comfort. I'm angry about something. This Jinj, I will definitely let him have no good fruit to eat in the future. Chuantian really took revenge. Anyway, this beam was not it. Look at you and say you're not angry. Looking at Chuantian, who looked indignant. Mu Yun couldn't help but smile. I'm not as big as you. Chuan Tian rolled his eyes. You know, I'm more attractive. Mu Yun smiled. They took the initiative themselves. Did they have any way? In the last days, this situation. Sister Cheyenne, don't take it to heart. Coco patted Chuan Tian's back and spoke again. Just seeing Yi Hanyu kiss Mu Yun, she was also envious. After all, in this last world, a man like Mu Yun is too sought after. Go back to Shenangjia. Chuan Tian snorted coldly and spoke. Back to Shenangjia. Not staying for a few days? Mu Yun hurried forward. Now Chuan Tian and Coco had extremely serious energy consumption. If they go back directly, they will definitely not be able to cope with the accident. What to live in? Your spiritual veins are gone. Chuan Shan glanced at Mu Yun and spoke. Yes, yes, yes. Mu Yun smiled, and the small world expanded by 3 times. Now that the Dragon Court has also been completely transformed, Mu Yun is excited to forget that there is another big thing. Originally, he went to Shenangjia for the sake of the spiritual vein. But there's so much going on here. So much so that now, this spiritual vein has become the smallest thing. However, now that the small world has expanded by 3 times, it is indeed in urgent need of spiritual veins. However, it is still 3 days to repair in the Dragon Court, and after 3 days, we will go to Shenangjia again, you see. Mu Yun looked at Chuan Tian with an inquiring gaze. He is not afraid of his wife, but respects his wife. Forget it, listen to you. Chuan Tian glanced at Mu Yun and nodded. Sister Lan, prepare a big meal. Seeing Chuan Tian agree, Mu Yun was inexplicably excited. He thought about Chuan Shan with all his heart. Mu Yun, these days, I need to retreat. When Mu Yun entered the core area, Bei Zishu suddenly appeared. Zishu, you don't have to be embarrassed. I also told you last time, I can't be in the Dragon Court all the time, and Mu Yun must have someone by his side. Chuan Tian naturally knew why Bei Zishu said that he was going to retreat. Now that I'm in the Dragon Court for 3 days, you and I can still live together like sisters. Chuan Tian continued to speak. Good. Looking at Chuan Tian, who was so frank, Bei Zishu also nodded. This couldn't help but remind Mu Yun of a TV series he had watched before. Sorry, I didn't come at the right time. Nope. You've come at the right time. At this time, Coco on the side also had a sense of trance. She had an idea to join. Goddess, the 3 of today's Killin finally interjected. You guys are also cultivating in the Dragon Court for 3 days. By the way, feel the life of the Terrans. By the way, when you go out, you must be humanoid. Chuan Tian looked at the 3 Killin and spoke. Don't scare the kids. Yes. The 3 of them nodded. What they were most concerned about now was the structure of the Dragon Court that had suddenly changed now. Both of you too. At this time, Coco also ordered the 2 snakes. Good. Although Snake G is full of prejudice against the Terrans, she still yearns for the lifestyle of the Terrans. Meals are ready. At this time, Sister Lan opened her mouth with a smile. This kind of thing can't be done by her, the deputy city lord. But today, she is not at ease. Who cooks this meal? Today, she is so happy. Try Sister Lan's craft, it's a lot better. Everyone was happy and felt this hard-won warmth. Mu Yun sighed in his heart. If Yi Hanyu hadn't left the Dragon Court now, it would be complete. I'm full. This is the best and most comfortable meal I've had in months. After Chuan Tian was full, he couldn't help but praise. I'm full too. Everyone had a satisfied expression. Boom. Suddenly, there was a violent shaking in the Dragon Court. What's going on? Mu Yun stood up. Why don't you stop for a while? Dragon Court. Hand over my son's crystal nucleus. A thick voice pierced through the entire Dragon Court. Zerg. Mu Yun directly took off into the air and disappeared in place. Go. Chuan Tian quickly summoned the 3 of Killin to support Mu Yun. Queen Ant. Mu Yun looked at the Zerg above, generating great pressure, and said the identity of the other party. What about my crystal nucleus? The Ant Queen looked at Mu Yun fiercely, and couldn't wait to swallow Mu Yun in one gulp. Chapter 403. This one? Mu Yun threw a crystal nucleus full of cracks in place. You. Looking at the crystal nucleus full of cracks, the Queen's eyes burst out unhappy. What's wrong with me? Your Zerg clan attacked my dragon court for no reason and wanted to hurt my life. I was only passive defense, who knew that this Ant Emperor couldn't help but beat me so much. Mu Yun raised his head and collided with the Ant Queen's gaze. What's wrong? Scare yourself? When you are scared? Fart. You are just a 9th order early powerhouse. Even if there is any difference, you can't be an opponent of the King Realm. Mu Yun, no matter what, I don't blame you. After all, the Ant Emperor provokes first. However, before he arrived, I reminded him many times that he was not allowed to cause any harm to the Dragon Court. At this time, the Queen suddenly became weak again. This made Mu Yun curious. What? Seeing a few kings behind him, instigated? Hurry up and state your purpose. Mu Yun waved his hand. He didn't want to listen to the Ant Queen ripping off here. No matter what the crystal nucleus is, as long as you return the crystal nucleus to me, there will be no grudge between us. The Ant Queen looked at Mu Yun and spoke sincerely. Big sister, you can figure out whether it's good or not. It's your son who came to me and attacked our dragon court. If it weren't for a few seniors who happened to be here, I'm afraid it would be me who died. Mu Yun looked at the Ant Queen and asked her to figure it out. If he hadn't brought a few people over with him, if he wasn't an opponent, this Ant Emperor would definitely not be able to show mercy to his subordinates. This is a world where strength is respected, and there is no truth at all. So you killed him. I don't blame you. I just need to get his crystal nucleus back. The Ant Queen looked at Mu Yun and spoke again. How? Let you hatch him again, and then create such a strong enemy for yourself again? Mu Yun looked at the Queen Ant and asked. Now that you have absorbed so much energy from the crystal nucleus, you have even destroyed the foundation of the crystal nucleus. Even if I can resurrect him, he can reach the 10th order at most. Queen Ant shook her head. Even if you are only in the early 9th order now, it should not be a problem to fight a 10th order. Mu Yun, do you understand what I mean? The Ant Queen looked at Mu Yun and gave reassuring. That doesn't work either. Mu Yun waved his hand resolutely and refused. Do you have to toast and not eat, and punish wine? The Ant Queen looked at Mu Yun and finally couldn't bear it. Yes, toasting is not good. Mu Yun nodded calmly, indicating that he just didn't like toasting. How many of them do you rely on? The Ant Queen looked at the killing people behind Mu Yun and asked coldly. I didn't say that. Mu Yun shook his head. Anyway, it was impossible for him to hand over the crystal nucleus. A few of them, although they are in the realm of kings, but they are only in the early stage of kings. That is to say, the first shackle is broken, and the Ant Emperor has just broken through the first shackles. Therefore, you can beat him to death by the number of people. The Queen Ant glanced at them with disdain and spoke coldly. If I think they can't even resist my move. The Ant Queen looked at the 5 people of the unicorn and actually beckoned defiantly. Maid, stinky ladies. Hearing the mockery of the Ant Queen, Kiss couldn't bear it, directly summoned thunder and lightning, and fell fiercely. And the Queen Ant just stood in place, did not move. This thunder and lightning fell straight on the Queen Ant. However, Mu Yun's sharp eyes found that when the lightning immediately touched the Queen Ant, it suddenly collapsed and turned into the purest energy. Then, it entered the Queen's body on its own. Kiss looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief. He was a king realm and naturally saw it more clearly than Mu Yun. Are you credible? The Ant Queen looked at Mu Yun and asked. I don't have to tell you. I have opened a few shackles now. I just need to tell you that today's blue star, I can directly pinch it. The Ant Queen looked at Mu Yun and slowly spoke again. You are so strong. What else are you negotiating with me? Mu Yun could see that the Ant Queen definitely did not talk nonsense. And listening to the tone of the Ant Queen, the shackles she opened must be no less than 2. And Mu Yun didn't know that opening the 2 shackles did not pinch the energy of Blue Star. But this Queen Ant has such strong energy, there is no need to negotiate with herself. She is a clear Aubrey, and no one here can stop them. Is it because of the so-called laws of the universe? After all, the Zerg belongs to a civilization. I've seen my sister. Suddenly, the Ant Queen turned around, looked at Chuantian, and saluted. You're so old, don't call me that. Chuantian waved her hand directly. She didn't want to lose her life. Anyway, you preceded me after all. Although I should have preceded you. The Queen Ant sighed. This sister, she didn't want to call But there is no way. The people are here. What the hell are you talking about? You are at such a high level. What are you talking nonsense about here? Mu-Yun was confused when he heard it. This lady has such a strong strength, but she has lost her heart and gone crazy. What a pity. You just ask me why I was still discussing with you. Why did I come here specifically? At this time, the Ant Queen finally looked at Mu-Yun. Because I'm a Zerg goddess. The Queen Ant raised her head proudly and spoke. How do you look like a goddess? Mu-Yun glanced at the Queen Ant and asked. I'm just too lazy to take shape. The Queen Ant said, and directly turned into a human form. And the Queen Ant, who turned into a human form, has a noble temperament and a slender body, especially the 4 pairs of transparent wings on her back, which directly makes many male superpowers in the Dragon Court stunned. Even women are attracted to their beauty and temperament. Ants also have seduction skills. Mu-Yun shook his head and took a deep breath. How? So be it. The Ant Queen looked at Mu-Yun proudly and fluttered her wings. Just hurry up and say, what is your purpose? It's worse for you to do this than to kill me. Mu-Yun looked at the Queen Ant innocently. He really couldn't figure out what the Queen Ant wanted to do now. Such an inexplicable dialogue and exchange made Mu-Yun particularly tormented. I came specially to see the husband identified by my heaven and earth. The Ant Queen looked at Mu-Yun and spoke word by word. Big sister, which is your husband? You take it directly. Hurry up. Husband? When Mu-Yun heard the Queen Ant's words, he suddenly had an extremely bad premonition. Chapter 404. No need to look for it. Aren't you right in front of me? Otherwise, you think I will talk so much nonsense with you. The Ant Queen looked at Mu-Yun and spoke affectionately. Big sister, don't play like this. Your son is in the realm of kings. I don't want to be this kind of husband. Mu-Yun quickly waved his hand, indicating that he had no interest in being a father. Mu-Yun, she is not the only son like this. It can only be said that this son is her weakest son. At this time, Chuan-Tian spoke behind Mu-Yun. The weakest son? The weakest son is the king realm. Hearing Chuan-Tian's words, Mu-Yun was stunned for a moment. How strong is this thing? The most important thing is, how many sons does this queen have? There are so many sons who come here and say that they are her husbands, which is simply deceitful. That Queen Ant can give birth, don't you know? That's not called birth, that's called reproduction. Chuan-Tian rolled his eyes behind and spoke. Sister, it's not good for you to slander your sister like this. Although I have a few children, the number is not so exaggerated as you say. The queen's voice sounded above. There is no one. I'm Mu-Yun, but I'm a person with spiritual cleanliness. At this time, Mu-Yun directly spoke, interrupting the Queen Ant's statement. Mu-Yun, I'm all energy reproduction, and it has nothing to do with my flesh. Do you know what energy reproduction is? The Ant Queen looked at Mu-Yun sincerely and spoke, and this move, in Mu-Yun's opinion, is a mockery. Forget it, let me tell you so. It is you who use energy to send out attacks, and this attack is what your energy reproduces. After all, attacks don't appear for no reason, so you should understand. I call them children, because they are my brainchild. However, I was not born. The Queen Ant sighed, and gave an easy to understand explanation. Besides, my current realm, you look for me, it's not a loss. The Ant Queen looked at Mu-Yun and spoke again. I refuse. Mu-Yun shook his head and refused. Find a Zerg and yourself as a wife. He doesn't accept this thing with a low heart. Although the Queen Ant in human form today is good looking and temperamental, but the child born after this is half human and half worm. I'm a snow ant, and the child I gave birth to must be very good looking. The Queen Ant seemed to be able to see through what Mu-Yun was thinking, and directly spoke. Moreover, now our flesh, ice and jade, and even any male, have not had a trace of skin kiss. It's just that I created the Ant Emperor, and the lowest is the king realm. But if you give birth to a child in the flesh, you will only be born at most about the 9th order and 10 steps. The Queen Ant continued to speak. It was really unbelievable. Okay, big sister please, let me go. The crystal nucleus is returned to you. What I just said is not to return. You have the right to fart me. Mu-Yun's head is big now. The king crystal nucleus. He doesn't want it. He just wants to send this queen sister away quickly. The Queen Ant did not say anything, and the crystal nucleus of the Ant Emperor disappeared in place. Anyway, you and I are a husband and wife handpicked by heaven and earth, and it is only a matter of time before we are together. Now I don't force you, lest you spread the joke. The queen ant said and turned away. That's right. Just when Mu-Yun was finally about to breathe a sigh of relief, the queen ant suddenly turned back again. Swoosh. I saw that something like white jade was floating in front of Mu-Yun. This is? Mu-Yun felt a terrifying energy above and asked. This is a drop of my essence blood, and if you are in mortal danger, it will protect you on its own. And, while it protects you, I will also feel it. The queen ant spoke. I'll help you blend into the heart. After the ant queen finished speaking, she appeared directly in front of Mu-Yun. Wrong. The queen ant gently spoke, and this essence blood was directly integrated into Mu-Yun's body. There are so many impurities in your body. Since I came today, also help my husband refine my body, the ant queen said, and a wave of energy enveloped Mu-Yun. Sister, does your energy also need to be refined? The ant queen turned her head at this time, looked at Chuantian, and asked. I don't need it anymore. Chuantian waved his hand. Hurry up and take care of your husband. Chuantian said angrily. This ant queen, guarding her main palace, is too arrogant. However, the current Chuantian really can't beat the queen ant. And Chuantian and the queen ant know each other. Anyway, in the depths of their memories, they all have each other. After all, they have obtained memory fragments. Therefore, Chuantian, who knew the ending, couldn't get angry. After all, Mu-Yun and the queen ant are really a husband and wife handpicked by heaven and earth. Also, you don't need to. How can you also be a goddess of the third civilization? The use of energy must be extremely strong. The ant queen glanced at Chuantian affirmatively and nodded. He is still the divine son of the great Xia dynasty, the first civilization. What are you doing for him? Chuantian and the ant queen were here, fighting for the wind and getting jealous. He is different. He is stubborn by nature, and does not accept inheritance. The queen ant sighed. Her own husband, only on her own. I don't talk more nonsense with you. I'm going to rest. Chuantian said, and disappeared directly in place. My sister is really quick temper. The queen ant chuckled, not meaning to be angry. After all, they are a family. Husband, I'm leaving. The queen ant said and turned around again. And this time, the queen ant walked extremely crisply, just turned around, and disappeared completely. Eileen. Mu-Yun took a deep breath, just like dreaming. And the extremely pure energy in his body told Mu-Yun that he was not dreaming just now. This energy, it has become substance. Mu-Yun felt the energy in his body, and originally he had completely optimized his energy through the energy of the ant emperor's crystal nucleus. But in front of the queen ant, this energy is still too unflowing. The ant queen just casually let the energy in Mu-Yun's body rise to more than one level. Eileen, I don't know, I have an extra wife. Mu-Yun sighed, and turned back to the core area. Although there is an additional Zerg wife, Mu-Yun is not rejected now, and even has a little expectation. Anshan, how strong is this queen ant? Mu-Yun sat next to Chuantian and asked. Why so much attention to the queen so quickly? Fallen? Chuantian looked at Mu-Yun and saw through the man's appearance. No, I'm also confused. Everything that happened today and dreaming. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 406. Now, if you want to destroy the Dragon Court again, I'm afraid it will be extremely difficult. Moreover, there are too many big guys behind Mu-Yun now. The night passed in a hurry. Although Mu-Yun still looked alive, he was already a little shaky when walking. And now Chuantian is still asleep. I have to say that Mu-Yun still has many strengths. 3 days passed in a hurry. Mu-Yun had reached the point where he needed to support his waist, but Chuantian's appearance became more moist. We are going back to Shenanjia too. Now there are too many accidents in the apocalypse. We have not been out for a short time this time, and if we don't go back, I'm afraid the beast race will be chaotic. Chuantian was in Mu-Yun's arms and reluctantly spoke. The 3 old guys are enough to support the beast clan. Mu-Yun looked at Chuantian and spoke. You're not going? Chuan-Tian looked at Mu Yun. There are so many things that have happened in the past few days. You are stupid by the impact. Chuan-Tian stood up and looked at Mu Yun with an idiot look. I'm sorry, but my whole body is dedicated to you. A lot of things I really forgot. Mu Yun touched his head and smiled. There is also the matter of spiritual veins. I actually forgot such a big thing. Okay, hurry up. Chuan-Tian rolled his eyes and opened his mouth to urge. Send them back first. Mu Yun nodded and quickly got up. Chu-Yu. Seeing that Coco was already waiting outside, Mu Yun awkwardly opened his mouth to call Chu-Yu. Here, call people early in the morning. Chu-Yu pouted and stood beside Chuan-Tian. Still like a child. Chuan-Tian touched Chu-Yu's lolly head dotingly and couldn't help laughing. HMPH, my brother-in-law doesn't spoil me again. Chu-Yu looked at Mu Yun and said, don't frame good people. Mu Yun is indeed very busy usually, but he has never forgotten his sister-in-law. Okay, Coco, we'll send you back first. Chuan-Tian interrupted the conversation between the two and looked at Coco. Good. Coco nodded. She didn't have anything to worry about the Sea Clan. After all, most of the current Sea Clan, except for some of the struggles with various family forces, are in the deep sea. So there are simply not so many surprises happening. Chu-Yu, go to the East China Sea. Mu Yun said to Chu-Yu. Big brother, brother-in-law, you didn't take me there last time. Well, I went to the East China Sea there. Chu-Yu looked at Mu Yun, rolled his eyes, and spoke. Last time, only Mu Yun and Yi Han-Yu went to the East China Sea, and Chu-Yu didn't go at all, so now he can't teleport at all. Forgot to forget. Mu Yun smiled awkwardly. Mu Yun, don't forget what we said before. Coco waved her hand, indicating that it was alright. I remember that. Mu Yun nodded. As long as it was something he promised, he would not forget it. You can go directly to Shenanjia. Don't worry about us. After saying goodbye to Mu Yun, Coco left the dragon court with Snake G and Poseidon. This. Mu Yun spoke a little embarrassed. It's okay. We'll go back. It will be soon. Coco says it doesn't matter. Royal wave. I saw Snake G gently speak, and a huge wave appeared out of thin air. Gone. Coco waved his hand, and the huge wave carried the three of them away quickly. Mu Yun also waved his hand. See you next time. I don't know when. Chu-Yu, let's go. Let's go to Shenanjia. Mu Yun turned around and looked at Chu-Yu. Got it. Chu-Yu nodded, and several people disappeared in place. Finally back. Kissing looked at the familiar Shenanjia and couldn't help but speak. Goddess. Beast Emperor. You're finally back. As soon as the kiss was finished, a giant beast rushed in front of them. What's going on? Looking at the blood-stained behemoth, Chuan-Tian frowned. Lord Goddess, after you left, the official of the Hua Kingdom conveniently sent 10 Thorda Peak powerhouses to attack us fiercely. Although they did not send a strong person in the King Realm, and did not break the rules, these 10 Thorda powerhouses, each of them, are equipped with a special energy bonus. We, the Beast Clan, suffered heavy casualties this time. At this time, the giant beast was also seriously injured. What? The official Huajiuo actually did such a thing during our departure. Killen glared angrily. Whether they were real or not, the official Huajiuo should know best. If the Beast Clan insists on rushing out of Shenanjia, these powerful people and the army of the official Hua Kingdom will not be able to hold it. Even if there were only 3 of them, the Beast Emperor would not be so easy to deal with. Lao Tzu went to slaughter them. Kissing his brows furrowed, he quickly turned around and went to find the Chinese army. I'll go with you. Mu Yun strode forward and followed behind Kiss. For the official of the Chinese state, Mu Yun still has a good impression. At this time, Kinyu was also in Shenanjia's army, and he shouldn't have done such a thing. Chu-Yu, you brought all the powerful people with healing systems in the Dragon Court to help the beast race of Shenanjia heal their injuries. Mu Yun looked back at Chu-Yu and spoke. I see. Chu-Yu looked at the wailing beast race, nodded and disappeared in place, shaking the people away. Uncle Kiss, don't go. I'll go with Mu Yun. At this time, Chuan-Tian also stopped the kiss. Goddess, Although Kiss stopped, she clearly had something to say. Well, trust me. Chuan-Tian naturally knew what was in Kiss's heart. Good. Kiss nodded. He believed that Chuan-Tian could definitely do better than him. Wait a while Chu, you will bring the healing powerhouse over, and you will be responsible for leading and healing the wounded of our beast clan. Chuan Shan said to the Kiss. Okay, I see. Kiss nodded and returned to the unicorn. Go. Mu Yun strode towards the direction of the official army of the Chinese state. What man? Just as Mu Yun entered a mountain range, several supernatural beings blocked Mu Yun's way. I'm looking for Qin Yu. Mu Yun didn't say nonsense and directly took out the token given by Qin Yu. Qin Yu is not there. One of the superpowers waved his hand, indicating that Qin Yu was not here. Where did Qin Yu go? Who is the supreme commander here now? Mu Yun frowned when he heard the answer of the superpower and turned his words around. It's General Chen. What's wrong? Something? The powerful person in the middle snorted coldly and asked. It's okay. It's just that you don't like it. Mu Yun raised his head. Such an arrogant powerhouse. Mu Yun is rare. You. Sound the alarm. The supernatural, who was directly suppressed to the ground, hurriedly asked for help from several of his classmates around. Chapter 407. A few of you, don't move. Mu Yun looked at the several superpowers who wanted to sound the alarm and spoke coldly. As Mu Yun spoke, the absolute realm made several people crawl on the ground, unable to move. Say, where is Qin Yu? Mu Yun looked at several people coldly and asked. Just as he took out the token, these few supernatural beings still had an arrogant and domineering attitude, and Mu Yun knew that there was definitely a big problem within the official Huajiuo. Qin Yu's token, that is like seeing people. What is so useful in Kyoto should be even better used in the army. After all, in the army, they will admire Qin Yu more as a major general who was born into death. However, these few superpowers, after seeing the token, still looked indifferent, which was too abnormal. He's back in Kyoto. This powerful person still gritted his teeth and answered to Mu Yun. HMPH, don't say yes, it's okay. Mu Yun snorted coldly. Just as his mind moved, he made the bones of several supernatural beings shatter. Ugh. Several supernatural beings screamed. This kind of pain was simply not something they could bear. If you don't say it, I have other means for you to say. Don't go through the pain. It's not interesting. Mu Yun looked at a few superpowers and spoke coldly. I say. A supernatural being, now unable to bear this pain, spoke loudly. Well, I like people like you who are aware of current affairs. Say, where is Qin Yu now? Mu Yun nodded, looked at this supernatural being, and asked. In the army. But I'm under house arrest. The psychic took a deep breath and spoke. What? Under house arrest? Who put him under house arrest? Hearing this, Mu Yun's brows furrowed. This situation is a bit complicated. This powerful person still wanted to speak, but suddenly he couldn't speak, and the whole person spewed out blood. This? Mu Yun's eyes widened angrily. How could this method still be used in this army? The last time I saw this method, it was still used by the despicable villain Pan Chai and Chang, the Gate of Heaven. Now in the official Chinese army, there are still people who use this method. This is simply it. Lost in conscience. Made. Mu Yun was really angry now, and he strode forward. Mu Yun, you have to be careful. Chuan Shan was behind Mu Yun and stopped Mu Yun. Now we still have to think in the long run. This official army of the Chinese country is not so easy to break into. The official of the Chinese state also has its own means and hole cards. I have their military map. Mu Yun took out a map in his hand. How did you get this thing? Seeing such a detailed map, Chuan Tian was a little curious. Last time I chatted with Qin Shanming, I saw it in his bedroom, and I took it by the way. Mu Yun Tao did not reply, and opened his mouth to answer Chuan Tian's doubts. You really are. The thief doesn't go empty. You brought people's maps. Hearing Mu Yun's words, Chuan Tian couldn't help but smile. You guys go to sleep for a while. Mu Yun's absolute realm merged, and several supernatural beings directly lost their lives. After all, judging from their attitude just now, these few supernatural beings definitely did not belong to Qin Yu's side. This kind of person who betrayed his own major general deserved to die. Go. According to the map, Mu Yun took Chuan Tian to bypass various patrols and slowly approached Qin Yu's residence. This thing is really good. You thief does not go empty. There are still certain benefits. As he slowly approached Qin Yu's residence, Chuan Tian couldn't help but give a thumbs up. Mu Yun's habit is very good, and he has avoided too much trouble. That's a must. Mu Yun smiled and moved forward again. Go. Mu Yun took Chuan Tian's hand, took off directly into the air, and entered Kinyu's residence. What man? In Kinyu's residence, there was actually a 9th order powerhouse, a 10th order powerhouse, guarding the door of the room. Shut up, you. Mu Yun snorted coldly, directly incapacitating the 9th order powerhouse. And Chuan Tian also acted quickly, just a pillar of light, which made the 10th order supernatural pass out. Kinyu. Mu Yun strode forward, and entered Kinyu's room. Eileen. Mu Yun, who entered the room, felt that Kinyu's body did not have a trace of magical energy. What's going on? Mu Yun looked at Kinyu, and couldn't help but speak. Why are you here? Looking at Mu Yun and Chuan Tian who appeared, Kinyu stood up excitedly. The official army of the Chinese kingdom wantonly attacked the Shenangjia Beast clan, and I felt that something was abnormal, so I immediately rushed over. I didn't expect to hear the news that you are under house arrest. Mu Yun looked at Kinyu's pale face and knew that Kinyu was definitely not having a good time these days. The army is controlled by the Chen family. Kinyu sighed and spoke. What? How can the army be controlled casually? Hearing Kinyu's words, Mu Yun's brows furrowed. Even if Mu Yun left the Dragon Court for a long time, his position as city lord would definitely not change in any way. His majesty, his right to speak, is still not comparable to anyone. This army is already strict. This kind of thing should not happen. Grandpa is in Kyoto, and is controlled by the Chen family, which is why this scene will happen. Kinyu sighed. This scene made him feel a little dramatic. Your grandfather was controlled by the Chen family in Kyoto? How many years has your grandfather been in power in Kyoto? How can it be controlled casually? With the communication with Kinyu, Mu Yun became more and more confused. Not to mention Qin Shianming's scheming and degree. Qin Shianming has been in power for so long, and this background does not mean that others can control it casually. There was an accident in Kyoto, and the psychic who protected my grandfather was suddenly hit hard, so my grandfather was controlled. I don't know the specific things. After the Chen family took over the army, they directly put me under house arrest. Even sealed my powers. Kinyu sighed, blaming himself for being incompetent. Now, don't say that he helped his grandfather get out of the control of the Chen family. Now he can't protect himself. Your powers are sealed. Fortunately, it didn't destroy your foundation. Mu Yun checked Kinyu's body and breathed a sigh of relief. They don't dare to do this, otherwise it will cause turmoil in the army. But if you don't come, I guess they will destroy me step by step. When Kinyu saw this, he still saw it clearly. It's the king's shot. Chuan Tian was on the side and spoke. Kinyu's ability to seal his heart so perfectly must be the king's move. Chapter 408. King? Mu Yun nodded, and by observing the sealing means, he could know that this person had definitely broken through to the realm of kings. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Kinyu to have no ability to resist at all. Are you in the army? Don't you have henchmen and the like? What about your advocates? Mu Yun looked at Kinyu and asked. Although Mu Yun had not been in contact with Kinyu for a long time, he knew that someone like Kinyu who led by example and rushed to the front. Even if he doesn't have this identity, there are definitely a lot of supporters around him. The controlled are controlled, the brainwashed are brainwashed, and now, even if there are henchmen, they dare not act openly. Kinyu sighed. This time, the Chen family came prepared, and as soon as he came, all Kinyu's rights were emptied. The Chen family sent a powerful person in the realm of kings this time, plus the army recognized the token, and did not recognize people, so it led to a series of problems. Kinyu spoke again, originally to facilitate management. Now, instead, it leads to a direct loss of power. It's pretty pathetic. Mu Yun looked at Kinyu and sighed. I'll help you. Mu Yun said, directly unfolding the field, preparing to break through the control energy on Kinyu's body. Wait a minute. Kinyu suddenly stopped Mu Yun. If you help me break through the control, then the king who controls me will definitely sense it. Kinyu said the reason. I'll come. Chuan Shian stepped forward, and a 5-colored divine light entered Kinyu's body, and all the control energy, after touching the 5-colored divine light, quickly melted like a snowflake touching a flame. With such a rapid break, even a powerful person in the king realm would not be able to react for a while. Thank you. Feeling the energy recovered in his body, Kinyu hugged his fist and spoke. Do you know where the token is now? Mu Yun looked at Kinyu and asked. Only by regaining control of the army can there be a chance to fight back against the Chen family. In the hands of Chen Ji of the Chen family. Kinyu was still clear about the location of the token. What realm is he? Mu Yun nodded, knowing who it was much easier to do. After all, so many soldiers and superpowers are under the control of the Chen family, there is no specific location, and before they are found, they will be discovered. Mid-10th order. Kinyu gritted his teeth and spoke. What he hated the most was a traitor. This Chen Ji is a traitor. Take advantage of the danger of people, go to the military power more, and in turn control the head of the Qin family. This kind of practice should be cut by 1,000 cuts. It's only the middle of the 10th order, so it's easy to do. Hearing Chen Ji's realm, Mu Yun breathed a sigh of relief. As long as this token is not on the King powerhouse, it is easy to handle. He is easier to control, but I also know Chen Ji. He eats and lives with the powerful people of the King realm for insurance. This powerhouse of the King realm is a hard commodity. Kinyu sighed and spoke. If it weren't for that King realm powerhouse, this mid-10 order Chen Ji, Kinyu would still have the power to fight. Your Qin family, how many kings are powerful? Mu Yun looked at Kinyu and asked. 1. He was hit hard. It was because he was hit hard, and our Qin family was controlled in such a short time. After all, under the king, and above the king, the gap is too big. 9th and 10th order, Kinyu can cross the ranks to fight. However, the 10th order and the king could not cross the rank to fight. There is simply no comparison between this. What about the Chen family? How many King realm powerhouses are there? Mu Yun asked again. In fact, the entire Hua kingdom, up to now, there is only one King realm. Of course, I'm talking about the Terrans. Kinyu spoke. The information of the entire Hua kingdom, Qin family still has. There is only one King realm, so what is the Chen family's King realm powerhouse? Kinyu remembered the information left by Yi Hanyu at the end. In the entire Hua kingdom, there should indeed be only one King realm powerhouse in the Qin family. Moreover, this supernatural is still piled up by the Qin family using various whole cards and resources. This is also the reason why the Qin family can become the real power of the official Hua kingdom. It's a powerful person in the United States. Kinyu spoke viciously. What? In order to take power, this Chen family turned out to be a collaborator and treason. Hearing this, Mu Yun was also angry after all. This kind of thing, even Mu Yun, is absolutely not allowed. The current Chen family, in order to overthrow the Qin family, actually led wolves into the house. Didn't they think about the consequences? Why, this is to change the owner of Hua Guo. That's something I can't accept. I didn't like the Chen family very much before, but I didn't expect that their Chen family could be shameless to this point. When the Qin family is solved, the next one is the Chen family to suffer. The wolf ambitions of the United States, they should not be unaware. Kinyu also spoke extremely angrily. Traitors, you can also leave a whole corpse, collude with the enemy in treason. This is unbearable. I must take care of this matter. Mu Yun took a deep breath. He was not an angry youth. The key is, if he doesn't care about this matter, Hua Guo will definitely change masters. But the other party has a King realm powerhouse. How to solve this powerhouse is the key. Kinyu sighed and spoke. You don't have to worry about this. The powerhouse of the King realm will be left to me to deal with. What you have to do now is to bring the hearts of everyone in the army together and break the shackles of the token. Mu Yun patted Kinyu's shoulder and spoke. Good. Kinyu nodded fiercely. He believed in Mu Yun. Since Mu Yun said that he would deal with this King realm powerhouse, then Mu Yun would definitely be able to handle it well. Brother Mu, I owe you a drink. Kinyu hugged his fist and spoke. This guy wants to send me away with a drink. Mu Yun looked at the departing Kinyu and couldn't help but smile. This guy is even more hairless than himself. Lord wife, what are your chances of winning when fighting with the King realm? Mu Yun looked at Chuantian and asked with a grin. That depends on what kind of power the other party has, as well as its own means and whole cards. Chuantian shook his head and couldn't say the answer. But I can tell you that the chance of victory is not great, but I can drag him down. Chuantian spoke again. dragging him down. It doesn't make much sense. Otherwise let Killin make a move. I estimate that in the early stage of the king, there are not many who had fought the unicorn. Mu Yun looked at Chuantian and spoke. Chuantian is a goddess of the beast race. Let the unicorn come over to fight. The unicorn must be a fart and a fart will come. Chapter 409. Even if it is a kiss, the king of this American country should not be able to defeat it. I'll go and drag the king of the United States, and you go and snatch the token on Chenji. You can see it this way. Chuantian looked at Mu Yun and asked. Ugh, my wife, there is no need for us to take this risk. Mu Yun looked at Chuantian and spoke. Now there are 3 beast emperors under Chuantian's hand, just one of them, and the king of the United States is much simpler. Now that both of them are going to fight beyond the ranks, the risk is too great. After all, what else was the whole card that the Chen family brought over this time? Mu Yun did not know. Let's be lazy now. Chuanshan glanced at Mu Yun and said coldly, you don't have any fighting spirit now? Chuantian continued to ask. What words? What are these words? My wife, I just want to win steadily. Mu Yun touched his head and said innocently. Okay, I'll show you my fighting spirit. Mu Yongshan walked in front with a high spirit, and according to the map, came to the room where Chenji was. It's evening. It's easy to start. This is the night of the dark moon and the high wind. Look at me. Mu Yun urged the absolute realm, and directly suppressed everything in the tent madly. Boom. Everything in the tent was instantly crushed into a pie shape. Ahem. In the tent, there was also a violent coughing sound instantly. What man? A roar instantly appeared in the tent. The man who killed you. Mu Yun rushed directly into the tent and killed Chenji. Paul. Looking at Mu Yun who rushed up, Chenji was shocked and spoke loudly. And Paul would not have imagined that someone would dare to attack them. After all, Hua Jiuo is just a king realm powerhouse, and he has already been severely damaged. The powerful people below the king realm sneak up on them. They are simply looking for death. Early 9th order. Over to you. After Paul saw Mu Yun's realm, he waved his hand. An early 9th order stage actually dared to come and sneak up on himself. This is no different from looking for death. For a 9th order early powerhouse, he was even lazy to make a move and directly threw it to Chenji, letting Chenji deal with it himself. Matt, a 9th order early stage, dares to sneak up on Leotzzu. Seeing Mu Yun's realm clearly, Chenji also changed from the panic just now. Early 9th order, it's enough to kill you. Mu Yun snorted coldly, directly urging out the absolute realm. Give me suppression. Mu Yun coldly opened his mouth and exerted all his energy. Aren't you only in the middle of the 10th order? Mu Yun looked at Chenji with a look of contempt. You are an early 9th order. You actually look down on me in the middle of the 10th order. Okay, good. Hearing Mu Yun's words, Chenji was directly laughed angrily. Repression. Mu Yun did not answer Chenji, but spoke again. This power. Chenji, who had just looked mocking, changed his face after feeling the suppressive energy of Mu Yun's domain. This is the energy of the early 9th order? This suppressive energy against him made him unable to resist at all for a while. Give me death. Mu Yun spoke again and saw the energy in the realm, turning wildly again, wanting to kill Chenji. Poof. Chenji spat out a mouthful of blood fiercely and strode back. How is this possible? Chenji looked incredulous. How can he say it is also the middle of the 10th order? How could it be possible that in the hands of an early 9th order powerhouse, he would have no power to parry? How could he know that Mu Yun's energy had been refined and forged by the top 3 ant queens in the universe? Now the energy in Mu Yun's body, it can be said that in addition to the energy that is not as large as the king realm, the quality must be comparable. Coupled with the special energy in Mu Yun's body, it was already more than the same level of special ability. When the queen is refining energy, it is convenient to expand the energy storage by means. So now when Chenji faced Mu Yun's attack, it was normal to be directly beaten by Mu Yun and vomit blood under the contempt and inattention. Chenji, you are really waste. Paul, who was on the side, looked at Chenji, who vomited blood at the beginning of the 9th order, and looked down on his face. This kid has weirdness. You also have an energy booster on you? Chenji looked at Mu Yun and took a few steps back. Now he didn't dare to underestimate this Mu Yun, who was a big rank lower than him. After all, no matter how small he looks, his little life is over. I don't look at that kind of thing. Mu-Yun shook his head coldly. The special energy adder, that thing is to have little confidence in himself, so he will take it out and use it. Die. Mu-Yun moved forward, and the absolute realm once again shrouded Chen-Ji in it. Ground Thorn. At this time, Chen-Ji finally reacted, urging the special energy to attack Mu-Yun. Earth power. Mu-Yun snorted coldly, and the absolute realm merged, directly shattering Chen-Ji's attack. It's really different. Paul looked at Mu-Yun, who made a move, and nodded. If this person stays, it will definitely be a major scourge for the United States in the future, and now in addition to him, it will also save the future restlessness. Paul looked at Mu-Yun, with killing intent in his eyes. Thor size. Paul urged the energy. A king realm actually sneaked up on Mu-Yun, this early 9th order stage. HMPH. Suddenly, a 5-colored divine light appeared, directly shattering the lightning energy that sneaked up on Mu-Yun. What man? Paul frowned and looked at the figure that appeared. It's hilarious. He is an early 9th order to attack the mid 10th order, that's all. After all, the energy is pure, and it is okay to fight beyond the ranks. But you, a 10th order peak, came to fight with my king realm. It's a joke. Find death. Paul looked at Chuan-Shan, who appeared, with a mocking face. But for your sake, I can leave your life behind. Paul looked Chuan-Shan up and down, with a lewd expression on his face. I'll tear your face off for you in a moment. Chuan-Tian took a sip lightly, directly urged the energy, and attacked Paul. At this time, Mu-Yun and Chen-Ji had already fought to the end. The energy that this Queen Ant's wife gives to refinement is different. Not only has the combat effectiveness become stronger, but this energy consumption has also become smaller. Now that we are in the early 9th order, there is no pressure to beat Chen-Ji in the middle of the 10th order. Even pressed and beaten. Mu-Yun looked at Chen-Ji, who was becoming more and more powerless, and sighed more and more at the benefits of having a good wife. Before putting it on, you can tie with Chen-Ji, which is very good. Now, this Chen-Ji is in his own hands, and he has no power to parry. You know, the two of them are a big rank and a small rank apart. Chapter 410. There are more benefits that Mu-Yun has not yet experienced. Energy refinement brings more than just battle enhancement. Repression. Mu-Yun spoke again. This time Chen-Ji was completely unable to move. Paul. While Chen-Ji was full of grievances in his heart, he had to ask Paul for help. Grandmas, it's really evil. At this time, Paul was also confused. He is obviously a king realm, and Chuan-Tian seems to be only 10 orders. At most, it is a 10th order peak, and the gap with him should be huge. After all, stepping into the realm of kings, he has already broken away from the mortal flesh. The gap can be figured out by the toes. However, now his sharp attack, attacking Chuan-Tian, was like hitting cotton. There was no reaction at all. Looking at Mu-Yun, who was powerless to fight the middle of the 10th order with the early 9th order. Looking at Chuan-Shan, who dragged himself down with the peak of the 10th order, Paul knew that today he had encountered a demon. And these two demons crushed too many so-called demons in their country. Anyway, to fight with the realm of the 10th order and the realm of his own king, without falling behind, there is no one in the United States. You said that you are fine in your own country, run to our country and provoke disputes. It's really wolf ambition. Chuan-Tian is also extremely disdainful of the United States. Now that the Qin family in the Hua Kingdom is the only one, we in the United States are only for the liberation and liberation of the Chinese people. Paul said with a righteous face. Gee, it's shameful. Chuan-Shan snorted coldly. He had never seen such a faceless one. Thunderball. Looking at Chuan-Tian, who looked down on himself, Paul was finally angry. Paul mobilized the energy of his whole body, launched a thunderbolt, and attacked Chuan-Tian. 5-color divine light. Chuan-Tian did not dodge. The 5-colored divine light and thunder collided violently, and the entire tent was directly destroyed. At this time, all the powerful people and soldiers of the official Huajiuo had heard the movement and surrounded them. At this time, Qin Yu also hurried over after convincing several high-level powerhouses. What are you going to do? Looking at Qin Yu, a Huajiuo powerhouse who was about to rush in to help, he was furious. Our general is under attack, and we naturally want to help them defend against foreign enemies. An official powerhouse of the Chinese kingdom opened his mouth to answer. Fucking fart. Who is the foreign enemy? Keep your dog's eyes open to see who is the enemy. You want to follow Chenji and get more resources. I don't blame you. But now, Chenji is collaborating with the enemy and treason. Treason with the enemy, do you understand? Kinyu looked at this powerful person and spoke viciously. Brothers, we have been fighting together for so long. Now that the American powerhouse wants to control our official Chinese army, are we so controlled to deal with our own people? Kinyu looked at the surrounding powerhouses and said with a painful heart, Major General, it's not that we have to deal with you now, but the military card is in Chenji's hands. Our military stipulates that people are not recognized by orders. You know that. If we violate this discipline, we are violating military rules. After all, our vocation is to obey the orders of our superiors. Among them, a supernatural couldn't help but sigh. Now, I'm a military card, can't I? Kinyu looked at the surrounding powerhouses and soldiers and asked, okay, I support you. As Kinyu's words fell, some people instantly chose to follow Kinyu. Admi 1. After a while, a large number of superpowers and soldiers chose to follow Kinyu. This can be seen that Kinyu has prestige in the army. Now that the United States has sent a powerful person from the King realm, the highest among our Chinese army, it is only the 10th order peak realm. If, at this time, there are still some superpowers and soldiers, calculating gains and losses. At this time, Mu Yun and Chuantian. Mu Yun. Solve the battle. Chuantian's voice entered Mu Yun's ears. And at this time, Chuantian, in the battle with Paul of the United States, his energy is about to run out. Good. Mu Yun stepped forward and kicked Chenji out tens of meters fiercely, causing Chenji to suffer a heavy blow directly. Here you go. Mu Yun forcefully threw the military order into Kinyu's hands. Everyone, listen to orders. At this time, Kinyu, who got the military order, had a huge increase in confidence. Major General. Seeing Kinyu who had received the military order, the surrounding superpowers stood in a military posture. Kinyu, find a way to control Paul. Now, as long as Paul is controlled, this rebellion can be completely suppressed. All supernatural beings above the 10th order, shoot it all. Hearing Mu Yun's words, Kinyu nodded and spoke loudly. Wear the magic booster and attack with all your might. Kinyu spoke again, and 10th order peak powerhouses had already rushed in front of Paul. Gee, you guys are really bold. This woman's strange ability is weird. I can't kill it, you guys are a fart. Looking at the 10th order superpowers who rushed up, Paul laughed angrily. A group of ants, even want to turn the sky? Try it. At this time, Kinyu also burst out all his energy and rushed forward. This kid is actually 10 steps. Mu Yun looked at Kinyu, who was bursting with energy, and couldn't help but sigh in admiration. Mu Yun, think of a way. We are now holding Paul back. After all, on our side, there is no king power. Although Kinyu looked confident, he was panicked in his heart, and only he knew. There's nothing I can do. In your army, didn't your grandfather leave you some whole cards? Mu Yun shook his head. This is not the Dragon Court. This is your territory. What cards can you have here? There are whole cards. That is also the whole card of the fish dead net, and it can't be used now. Kinyu sighed and spoke. That's up to my wife. Mu Yun spoke innocently. Your wife? Kinyu looked at Mu Yun with some doubt. Your wife is indeed powerful, and the peak of the 10th order can fight Paul in the king realm back and forth. But, Kinyu sighed and entered the battle again. These 10th order peak powerhouses were far worse than Chuantian. After a while, 3 powerful people were beaten by Paul and spit blood in their mouths. Thunderball. Paul has now lost all patience and speaks angrily. What are you kid always yelling at? Have you ever seen Thunderball? Just keep yelling. Just when everyone couldn't hold on, suddenly a voice entered the battlefield. Kiss. Mu Yun suddenly turned his head and saw a familiar figure. Chapter 411. I know that my wife can't fight an unprepared battle. Looking at the kiss that appeared, Mu Yun smiled. Through the fight between Paul and Chuantian, Mu Yun could clearly feel that the energy that Paul exerted was not as pure as a kiss. It can also be said that Paul could not have kissed him at all. Although the kiss is among the 3 beast emperors, the strength is the weakest existence. But hitting Paul was more than enough. Isn't this thing also to be compared with whom? What are you? Looking at the kiss that appeared, Paul had a faint feeling of bad luck in his heart. Who am I? A bird devil came here, and I felt sick when I saw your unevolved faces. The kiss snorted coldly. If you want to say that the yin yang people, this kiss is definitely good. Kill him. At this time, Chenji lay on the ground and spoke loudly. Shut up. Paul looked at Chenji viciously. Thunderball. I saw that the kiss opened coldly, and all the surrounding air was instantly turned into lightning energy. King Realm. Paul was flabbergasted. Doesn't it mean that there is only one King Realm powerhouse in the Hua Kingdom? How can there still be an existence of the Realm of Kings? And he is also the king of lightning powers. The most important thing is that the other party's power looks much stronger than him. King Yu, don't stand silly here. Prepare to clean up the mess. The gap between Paul and the kiss is not a little bit. Mu Yun looked at King Yu, who was still standing stupidly in place, and spoke. Good. King Yu nodded and quickly began to subdue the remnants of the Chen family. At this time, Paul has been defeated by the kiss. Obviously they are all King's Realm. Obviously they are all thunder and lightning powers. But this Paul, in the hands of the kiss, is like a child. There is simply no ability to resist. Get on your knees. Kiss looked at Paul, who was already helpless, sneered, and used lightning power to suppress Paul. I rely on this old fellow. The combat effectiveness can be R. Mu Yun looked at the kiss that suppressed Paul so cleanly and liked this old man for the first time. It's really good. Although Paul is a king, the energy he possesses is too vain. Most importantly, Paul's king realm is nothing more than an artificial catalytic product. Kissing aside, he spoke. The product of artificial catalysis? Hearing this, Mu Yun frowned. Is this the so-called artificial king? It is through various energy potions, as well as various catalytic agents, to catalyze a 10th order peak powerhouse into a king realm powerhouse. However, although they have become a king realm, they also have the battle of the king realm. But if they encounter a supernatural who has become a king by breaking through by themselves, the gap is still obvious. The kiss explained to Mu Yun. Through various potions? In that case, wouldn't the United States be able to create many artificial kings? Although their combat effectiveness is not as good as that of real kings, it is still easy to suppress and kill 10th order superpowers. Mu Yun had a sense of crisis about this. It's not unreasonable for you to worry, but it's not so easy to create a king realm powerhouse. First of all, the person being created needs to have the realm of the peak of the 10th order. This alone has eliminated 99% of the superpowers. Moreover, this requires the absolute voluntariness and absolute cooperation of the supernatural. You think people have finally cultivated to the peak of the 10th order who doesn't want to break through to the king realm on their own. Secondly, the process is very dangerous, and the slightest mistake can lead to disaster. And there are all kinds of restrictions, such as physical requirements and spiritual requirements, and so on. Chuan Chan was on the side and spoke. It can be said that 1,000 10th order peak powerhouses can only succeed in a few. This Paul is absolutely fateful. Chuan Tian looked at Paul and spoke. So it is. Mu Yun nodded. In this way, there was no need to worry about the existence of too many kings in the realm of Mi-Guo, and then pose a threat to Hua Guo. You are the artificial king. You are. Paul heard the conversation between Mu Yun and Chuan Tian, and roared madly. Shut up. Mu Yun looked at Paul, who was like a clown, and covered his ears. What Paul hated most was that someone said the word artificial king in front of him. After all, people, they are all like this. The more they lack something, the more they love to show off. What is your own shortcomings? You are most worried about what others pick out. King Yu, the things saved, will be left to you to handle. This Chenji is also handed over to you. Mu Yun pointed at Chenji and spoke to King Yu. This Chenji must be of great value. However, this value is given to King Yu by the way. After all, King Yu was the person who could mine value in the Chen family the most. Thank you. King Yu hugged his fist and thanked him sincerely. If there was no Mu Yun, he would still be under house arrest by the Chen family now. Without Mu Yun, he himself felt unable to turn over. But Mu Yun's appearance, in just 1 hour, turned over perfectly. Even the most worried, tricky king powerhouse he was beaten like a dog who lost his family. but I have to take this pull. Otherwise, if he gets out of control after I leave, it will be a great disaster for you. Mu Yun said. Let the kiss knock Paul unconscious and throw him into the small world. Mu Yun. Just as Mu Yun wanted to leave, Kinyu spoke from behind. What's wrong? Your drink? It's okay, there's no hurry. Mu Yun waved his hand. A drink? What is the hurry? It's not. Kinyu scratched his head and spoke embarrassedly. Do you see how you are with a big girl? Yes? If there is anything, you will say it directly. Mu Yun spoke. Can you accompany me to Kyoto? After all, I can't figure out the situation in Kyoto today. If I go to Kyoto myself, I'm afraid. Kinyu had just heard the content of the conversation about the artificial king. Although he is an artificial king, it is a mortal threat to him. Therefore, he also wanted to ask Mu Yun to help. After all, there are too many whole cards behind Mu Yun. Now one of the three emperors, the kiss, is for Mu Yun, helping their mortal enemy. I've thought about this for a long time. Mu Yun waved his hand. Doesn't this mean that first let you clean up the battlefield, the remnants of the remnant party? When you're done cleaning up, just call me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 412. After all, this military affairs, you clean up, it is not so easy. I also happen to have something, so I just went to deal with it, and it was in the Shinanjia. As long as you have solved the affairs in the army, send me a message immediately. Mu Yun said to Kinyu, signaling that he didn't have to worry. Well, thank you. Hearing his promise, Kinyu clenched his fist again. For Mu Yun, now he feels that he owes a life. That's just so much fun. No thanks. By the way, you can't return such a great kindness to me for this drink. Mu Yun waved his hand, and just as he left, he spoke again. I naturally know this. I naturally know this. Kinyu quickly nodded. Even if he was the head of Elm, there were many things he would not use Elm's handling method. As for the drink, he said, it was just a rhetoric, a personal statement. By the way, don't forget the gift from your sister-in-law and the Beast Emperor. Mu Yun turned around, smiled and said, that's nature, that's nature. Kinyu said stupidly again. Okay, I'll go back first. You handle the affairs in the army, just call me. Mu Yun nodded, took Chuantian and Kao Kiss, and left here. Kiss Senior, you have been fighting with the official Huajiuo for so long. Don't you feel awkward to help them now? Mu Yun looked at the Kiss and quipped. It won't be awkward. After all, the official of the Chinese state, that is, the Qin family, they are still very moral. It's just that among the beast race, there is a lack of materials, and there are all kinds of training, so it will always be in a state of combat hostility. But you know what? We also need a moral opponent. The Chen family won't be a good opponent. Kiss shook his head and spoke. As a beast emperor, he naturally has a lot of things to consider. If the Chen family is in power, then the Beast Clan and the official of the Hua Kingdom will definitely be in an unending state. Because the Chen family, a family that will collude with the enemy in treason, in order to take power for themselves, will definitely use the Beast Clan as a place to take the crystal nucleus when the time comes. Although it is said that the Chen family will not be the right of the beast race. However, when the time comes, they will face more than just the forces of the Chinese state. There will also be the United States, and even the forces of other countries. Then, the beast race will face a crisis. I didn't expect that the senior's brain turned so quickly. Mu Yun looked at the Kiss and smiled. Much stronger than you. Kiss said angrily. By the way, at this time, we will move the crystal nucleus. It must be a little difficult. However, I can take advantage of this time to prepare more supplies for the Beast Clan. Count as much as you can. Mu Yun said to Chuantian. Good, that's naturally good. Chuantian heard Mu Yun's words and nodded. Good. Kiss also smiled at this time. Look, not only women are fickle, men, beasts, are fickle. Go to the innermost cave in Shinanjia. Kiss is also an extremely stable person, of course. Taunting and yin yang, which are also his strengths. Good. Mu Yun nodded and followed the Kiss to the cave. You guys help me guard the entrance to the cave, Mu-Yun said, and directly entered the small world. Mature. Through manipulation, Mu-Yun began to ripen the materials in the small world. After a while, all the grain will be ripe. Boom. Mu-Yun controlled again, and all the grain was automatically planted. Mu-Yun began a new round of ripening again. Of course, the energy consumption of Mu-Yun's small world's small spiritual vein was still very fast. After all, no matter where you are, you must obey the law of conservation of energy. As Mu-Yun continued to urge energy, more and more materials were piled up in the small world. Woo, almost. First, Mu-Yun looked at the huge amount of materials that had been piled up on the ground and paused the energy urging. These materials are also enough for the beast race to consume for a while. Boom. As soon as Mu-Yun left the small world, he dumped out the materials in one go. This. So much. So fast. Watching more and more supplies being piled up in the cave, Kiss's eyes widened. You will use these materials first. Now the spiritual vein energy consumption of my small world is almost the same, and if you want to obtain materials, you need energy consumption. When we transfer the spiritual vein to the small world, I will give you the supplies. Mu-Yun spoke. Well, that's enough to use for a while. Mu-Yun, you are really good. Kiss patted Mu-Yun's shoulder and laughed. Senior, to be honest, your face change is the fastest I've ever seen. Mu-Yun pouted. This Kiss is not a good person. Don't say that. I just cherish talent. Kiss waved his hand, indicating that he was not that kind of person. However, he saw that Mu-Yun was getting more and more pleasant, but it was true. Just right. Yu began to ask for help again. My wife. Look. Mu-Yun looked at Chuantian. If he went to Kyoto now, he definitely needed a king to sit. After all, the military region has the artificial king of the United States, and Kyoto will definitely have a supernatural with superior combat effectiveness. The two of us, in your little world, let's relax and relax. Uncle, how do you look? Chuantian looked at the Kiss and asked. Yes, I'm willing to come with you. Kiss nodded, offering to follow them. Thank you. Mu-Yun smiled. As long as his wife was willing to follow, then he would have no worries. Mu-Yun, why are you so enthusiastic this time? You know, you're not such a warm-hearted person. Chuantian looked at Mu-Yun and asked. Could it be that Yu made some extremely high reward promise to you? Chuantian asked again. It didn't. I just can't get used to this kind of trash that traitors for glory and collaborates with the enemy and treason. In the end times, insidious means can be used. But don't be too mean. Don't even want the most basic bottom line. Treason for glory, collaborators, and treason, this kind of thing, no matter when, is despicable. Of course, the Qin family must not be without our benefits. Mu-Yun smiled again. This time, he was helping the Qin family to solve the siege. Moreover, if he did not have himself this time, even if it was sovereignty in the army, Yu would not be able to take it back. Therefore, the Qin family must not be able to lack their own benefits. Okay, let's go. Chuantian rolled his eyes. For the Beast Clan and Chuantian, they will not allow the official Hua Kingdom to change the master. Chapter 413. Again, moral opponents are rare. Brother Mu. Looking at Mu-Yun, who arrived, Yu greeted him excitedly. All in order? Looking at the resumption of solemn military discipline, Mu-Yun asked. Yes, it's all organized by itself. Yu nodded. He had grown up in the army, so for this matter, it could be said that it was hand to hand. A word of advice to you. There are some things. Do not be soft-hearted, and do not be soft-handed. Mu-Yun nodded, looked at the barracks, and spoke. It seems that Yu did not make any punishment. In this way, it is impossible to convince the public. After all, only when you slap yourself on yourself does you know that it hurts. This matter, the rebels, is so lightly turned over, then who will work hard in the future? Almost, so to speak. And next time, there will be people who rebel. After all, the cost of making mistakes is too small. Thanks for the reminder. I thought about waiting for Kyoto to be completely controlled before punishing me. Yu nodded. He understood what Mu-Yun said. However, he also has his own ideas and plans. I'll accompany you and take back control of Kyoto. It's not a matter of hand. Don't be nervous. Mu-yeon looked at Kinyu, who was extremely nervous, patted him on the shoulder, and opened his mouth to comfort. Yes, I believe Brother Mu. Kinyu nodded. With Mu-yeon there, he was indeed much more down to earth. After all, in this world, it seems that there is nothing that Mu-yeon cannot complete. Chuyu, let's go. Go to Kyoto. Let you, Uncle Kin, buy you candy to eat. Mu-yeon touched Chuyu's head and spoke. Running here and there every day, I'm bored. Chuyu snorted coldly, extremely unhappy. Day by day, endlessly. I just have a gadget here, give it to you. Kinyu half squatted and gave an item to Chuyu. This kind of thing is coaxing children, and I'm not a child. Looking at the plush toy in his hand, Chuyu rolled his eyes. No, no. This made Kinyu instantly a little embarrassed. It's just the surface. There's good stuff inside. Kinyu quickly spoke. If it was just a plush toy, of course he couldn't have brought it with him all the time. Forget it. Come back and see. Chuyu changed his appearance, took a few people, and came to Kyoto in an instant. Phew. Kinyu took a deep breath. Now he was really nervous. After all, his grandfather, his father, and all his family, everything, are all in Kyoto. He didn't want to see any surprises. Here, it is Kinyu's life. Where are you going? Looking at Kinyu, who was rushing forward in stride, Mu-yeon grabbed him. Go to my grandfather's mansion. Kinyu spoke in a low voice. He wanted to see to what extent Grandpa was controlled, whether he was threatened or harmed. These things, until he saw them with his own eyes, he was not at ease. Wait a minute. If you go now, it will only expose the two of us. Let the other party raise their guards and make things more tricky. Mu-yeon spoke, asking Kinyu not to be so impulsive. Step by step, there is a plan. Mu-yeon smiled. The Chen family sent the king realm to deal with you, the junior, the grandchildren, and you also tied up all his grandchildren. If you can, tie up all his remaining wives and places. After all, they are not moral, and we are just passively fighting back. Hold these people. Mu-yeon has a way. Anyway, they are defenseless now. Below the king, we will tie it casually. Mu-yeon spoke again. He was still very confident in his strength. Good. Kinyu nodded and agreed with Mu-yeon's statement. Anyway, Chen-ji, the son of the Chen family, has already been tied up by them. Now they have kidnapped all the people of their family, so that the Chen family is completely chaotic. It's noon. It's all tied up until the evening, and we'll sneak into your grandfather's mansion in the evening. Look how. Mu-yeon looked at Kinyu and asked. Well, nature is excellent. Kinyu nodded. What Mu-yeon said, it was naturally the best plan to implement. Get moving. Mu-yeon's favorite thing is to treat his body with his human way. Just do it. Do you know where the Chen family's lair is? Mu-yeon looked at Kinyu, who was walking in front, and asked. Naturally, when I was a child, I used to hit the windows of their house with stones. Kinyu nodded and spoke. Huh, I can't see it. You're quite versatile. Mu-yeon glanced at Kinyu and couldn't help nodding. This kid was also quite bad when he was a child. He also hit the windows of people's homes with stones, which is really unseemly. This is it. Kinyu stopped in front of a mansion. There are really a lot of people on patrol. Mu-yeon looked at the people patrolling back and forth and said, it's a very good time to definitely strengthen the manpower. Kinyu nodded and quietly dived over with Mu-yeon. They also have rules, and there is exactly an intersection in 10 minutes. There is still a gap of more than half a minute. We can take advantage of this time to sneak into the backyard of the Chen family. After the two observed for half an hour, Mu-yeon came to a conclusion. Good. The two cats leaned over and slowly approached the backyard. Go. As soon as the two approached, there was a half-minute window. Mu-yeon grabbed Kinyu, took off directly into the air, and entered the backyard of the Chen family. Be careful. Mu-yeon grabbed Kinyu and directly entered a small room to observe the situation in the Chen family's courtyard. Who are you? Suddenly, a voice appeared from behind. Kinyu. This voice is full of surprise. Get some sleep. Mu-yeon directly knocked him unconscious to avoid being exposed. You really started simply. This is the eyeliner that our Kin family planted. Kinyu looked at Mu-yeon and couldn't help but sigh. He just wanted to ask eyeliner about the current situation in Kyoto. Unexpectedly, Mu-Yun's move was really simple, and he directly knocked people unconscious. I don't know, you didn't say it earlier. It's okay, I'm here. Eyeliner is not eyeliner, no accident. Mu-Yun smiled awkwardly, patted his chest, and opened his mouth to promise. No wonder this guy didn't shout the first time he saw himself. It turned out to be the Qin family's eyeliner, no wonder. This is the layout map of the Qin family. The psychic who had just been knocked unconscious by Mu-Yun trembled and took out a map in his arms and fell asleep again. Fortunately, I just saw that this guy doesn't look like a bad guy and didn't kill him. Chapter 414. This place is the place of the ancestors and grandchildren of the Qin family. Let's go and tie up his grandson first. Mu-Yun looked at the map, pointed to a location, and spoke. That's fine. Kinyu nodded. There was no psychological pressure on such a thing as kidnapping others. After all, the other party did not talk about martial virtue and controlled his grandfather. If Mu-Yun hadn't helped, I'm afraid he would still be under the control of the other party now. Go. Mu-Yun took Kinyu and walked towards the location of the eldest grandson of the Qin family. This Qin family is really careful, even in the courtyard. There are a lot of patrolling superpowers, and there are a lot of eyeliners. So Mu-Yun and Kinyu walked up, and were extra careful. The Qin family, how many grandchildren do you have? Mu-Yun turned around, looked at Kinyu, and asked. 3, but in this courtyard, there are only 2, and there is one, which is also in the military district. Kinyu knew the Qin family's situation very well. Then arrest both of his grandsons. Mu-Yun nodded and grabbed a few of them. Gongzi, come. As soon as I approached my eldest grandson's room, I heard a burst of laughter. I lean on this guy. It's quite a flower. Listen to this voice. There are at least 3 girls in the room. This ancestor of the Qin family is still thinking about how to win this river, so his own backyard is on fire. It's really, gee. Mu-Yun shook his head and sneaked directly into the room with Kinyu. And this eldest grandson made his subordinates avoid it because he was looking for fun. Therefore, Mu-Yun entered his room extremely easily and no one found it at all. Even the eldest grandson himself, because in the gentle township, no one was found to enter his room. Ahem. Mu-Yun looked at the fragrant scene in front of him and couldn't help but cough. Ugh. Several girls looked at the 2 who suddenly appeared, and they all screamed loudly. Shut up. Mu-Yun instantly felt irritated, and directly used the realm energy to shut up several women. What are you? This is the Qin family. The eldest grandson looked at the 2 people who appeared, and he was also shocked. He really couldn't figure out how these 2 people entered his room through layers of guards. You see, that's interesting. He said he belonged to the Qin family. If it weren't for the Qin family, what would we do here? Mu-Yun looked at his eldest grandson with an expression of looking at a fool. Also, this is the eldest young master of the Qin family. You 2 grew up together. You only know the gentle township, don't know your little friend? Mu-Yun pointed at Kinyu again and spoke with a smile. Kinyu. At this time, the eldest grandson finally reacted. He quickly got up and mobilized his powers. It's useless. If you can pose a threat to us, we won't talk to you for so long, right? Looking at the eldest grandson who mobilized the energy of the supernatural energy, Mu-Yun waved his hand and told him that he didn't have to work in vain. With so many resources, but only in the 6th order power, the Qin family really raised a bunch of waste. That's why you need to collaborate with the enemy in treason to control Kyoto. Kinyu walked towards the eldest grandson as he spoke, and the irritation in his language became more and more prosperous, and he directly knocked the eldest grandson out with a punch. Dress him. Kinyu looked at Mu-Yun and asked. What he is now? He is tied up. We only have the obligation to tie him, not to dress him. Mu-Yun shook his head. People are still intoxicated in the gentle township. What are you doing dressing people? Isn't this nosy? 2. Kinyu nodded and lifted up his eldest grandson in disgust. Put him in one place first. The eldest grandson is indeed easy to kidnap. Leave it to me. Mu-Yun wrapped his eldest grandson with a quilt and threw him into the small world. After all, in the small world, his wife is still there. This guy's naked and not obscure enough. Go to his little grandson's room. Mu-Yun and Kinyu changed direction again and went to the little grandson's room. ZU. As soon as he approached his little grandson's room, he heard the sound of recitation in the room. Look, this grandson is not bad. Myung nodded to Kinyu in affirmation. Their grandson, there is not a good thing. Kinyu snorted coldly to indicate that he did not agree. Look at you, you have such a short temper. Don't let me boast yet. Myung waved his hand. Eileen, it's true, this little grandson is sleeping by himself. This voice actually uses a tape recorder. Myung and Kinyu entered the little grandson's vacation, originally thinking that what they saw would be the little grandson trying to learn traditional culture. Unexpectedly, this kid is sleeping soundly. Even when Myung and Kinyu entered the room, they didn't notice a single thing. Sure enough, this Chen family, there is not a good person here. Myung gave Kinyu a thumbs up. Kinyu looked at people really accurately. I still don't know about their Chen family. Kinyu looked down on his face. What kind of good people can the Chen family, who can do things of collaborating with the enemy and treason? If this Hua kingdom is controlled by the Chen family, it will really be dark. Don't say more. Tie it. Myung pointed to this little grandson and spoke. They have been talking for so long, and this little grandson has not woken up, and he really deserves this thumb. Who are you? Woo woo. The little grandson, who woke up, felt that he was tightly bound and struggling desperately. But it's too late. Myung stuffed the socks into his little grandson's mouth, making him unable to say this sentence at all. Forget it, it's still too noisy. Myung thought about it, but still let Kinyu knock his little grandson unconscious. How many sons does he have? Myung looked at Kinyu and asked again. 2, one Chenji, and the other, should be sitting in the Chen family at this time. Kinyu replied. What realm? Myung opened his mouth and asked. If it was above the middle of the 10th order, he would not move him first. After all, it will take a lot of effort, and it will also lead to exposure. Early 10th order. Kinyu knew the Chen family thoroughly. Is that okay, or do you want to tie him up too? Myung was relieved when he heard this realm. It's not as good as Chenji. Tied, definitely tied. It's all tied. Kinyu nodded with a look of deservedness. In this study in the center. Kinyu pointed to the study in the center, and the two quickly approached. That's nice. Myung and Kinyu arrived, looked at the brilliant study, and couldn't help but praise. The families who are willing to spend a lot of money in the study are all families with strong superficial work superficiality. The Chen family is like that. Go. Myung and Kinyu rushed into the room. Chapter 415. What man? This eldest son of the Chen family was indeed much more alert. As soon as Myung and Kinyu entered the room, they heard the cold drink of their eldest son. Beat your man. Myung snorted coldly and said. HMPH. You deserve it too. Seeing that Myung was only in the early 9th order, the eldest son snorted coldly and looked down on his face. Coming. The eldest son shouted loudly, but to no avail. After all, everything here was shrouded in Myung's absolute domain. Now the eldest son's voice could not pass through Myung's absolute realm at all. Hurry, tie him up. Myung gave Kinyu a look. They didn't have so much time to spend here. After all, Kinyu's grandfather didn't know what the situation was now, and they couldn't afford it. The saying that the night is long and dreams is the most suitable for the current situation. Good. Kinyu nodded, and directly burst out the most powerful energy in his body, suppressing his eldest son. Give me suppression. Myung also directly burst out energy, and the cooperation of the two made the eldest son directly lose all his ability to resist. After all, Chenji, who was in the middle of the 10th order, was not an opponent when he fought Myung one-on-one. Now when he encountered the two demons Myung and Kinyu, he was instantly suppressed. Hey, did you take it? Myung looked at his eldest son and smiled. He said he wasn't convinced. Beat him. Before the eldest son could speak, Myung directly moved and beat the eldest son fiercely. The eldest son is also extremely aggrieved, and he hasn't spoken yet. And there is such a big movement in the study. Can't you hear it outside at all? Why is there no one to support? Could it be that everyone outside was put down by Myung and the two of them? After getting out of breath, Myung directly threw his eldest son into the small world. Myung didn't want to worry about what waves they would make in the small world. After all, even if it is a kiss in the king realm, one Chuan Shan, hitting the three of them, it is more than enough. However, in order to expose the small world, the three of them were all beaten unconscious by Mu Yun before they were thrown into the small world. A family that wants to control the Hua kingdom, in Mu Yun's hands, is so humiliated. It is so undignified. Go. Leave the Chen family. Mu Yun and Qin Yu left the Chen family. At this time, the entire Chen family did not realize that the owner of their Chen family had been tied up by Mu Yun. What's next? Qin Yu also felt extremely excited at this time, so he unknowingly tied up all the main heart bones of the Chen family. Go to the Qin family and see what is the situation of the Qin family now. Mu Yun was in front and spoke. I estimate that there should be a king realm among the Qin family now. Since it is a military region, they have all been sent to the king realm. Then the Qin family will definitely have a king realm powerhouse here to control the situation. After all, the Qin family still has a king realm, although it was hit hard. But ordinary 10th order superpowers can't be opponents at all. No need to estimate, there must be. Mu Yun smiled. This question, don't think about it. So what do we do? As soon as Qin Yu heard the existence of the king realm, he felt stunned. No way, the gap between the king realm and the 10th order is too big. So big that he couldn't have any thoughts of fighting and resisting. So now hearing the words king, Qin Yu was extremely worried in his heart. Just hit him until he's honest. Mu Yun waved his hand, indicating that there was no need to worry at all. What is a king? He still has one tied to his little world. What is it called, shitpool, or a personal kingmaker? It is estimated that this king is also a water king. That's what you hear in the army, artificial king. After all, in the United States, up to now, if you practice down to earth, at most you will have one king to two kings. Such a true king needs to sit in his country. Mu Yun said, signaling not to worry. Then if it is an artificial king, shouldn't our Qin family's king predecessor be able to suppress it easily? How can it still be controlled? Qin Yu asked with some doubt. Isn't your Qin family's king powerhouse severely damaged? Artificial king, although it is not as good as the real king realm, but if you want to truly suppress, you also need the other party to be in full bloom. The artificial king, although it is artificial, although not as good as the real king, but that's also the king. So you don't have to worry. Mu Yun patted Qin Yu's shoulder. Sneak into the Qin family first and see what the situation of the Qin family is now. Only after we understand the good situation can we start. Mu Yun continued to speak, although he had stolen the Chen family's home now. However, what is the situation of my own family? I don't know yet. Good. Qin Yu nodded, with Mu Yun by his side. He was indeed too steady. Even the brain. There is no need to move. The Qin family. There are so many patrolling powers. Looking at the many supernatural beings patrolling the Qin family's mansion, Qin Yu clenched his fists. Don't get excited. Isn't this normal? Mu Yun held Qin Yu's arm and signaled not to get excited. People have controlled your lair. How can they not supervise? The Qin family's patrolling powers, whether in quality or quantity, are too much beyond the Qin family. Mu Yun observed from a distance and said, how about we rush directly? Qin Yu couldn't stand his grandfather and clansmen, so he was controlled by the Qin family. Don't worry, since they are willing to patrol back and forth, if they don't let us in, we won't go in. Mu Yun shook his head. Now he had no idea of entering the Chen family. But, Qin Yu clenched his fists. His own family, right in front of him, could not enter, which made him unacceptable. Look at you, you're still so temperamental. Mu Yun smiled and let Qin Yu sit down again. Qin Yu's mind is extremely mature, and now it is just that his grandfather and clansmen are controlled, so he will lose his wisdom. Mu Yun can understand this. Now that the Chen family's sons and grandchildren are in our hands, we are not in a hurry. They should be in a hurry. After all, they don't dare to attack the Qin family so quickly now. They're in the light, we are in the dark. Play with them first. After all, they don't even know who stole their home. Mu Yun smiled and took Qin Yu to drink tea. At this time, the Chen family was already in chaos. Sir, Patriarch, the ancestor of the Chen family, who had just returned from the Qin family, heard several anxious voices. What's wrong? So flustered. The ancestor of the Chen family frowned. He was the most irritated by the noisy voice. The young master and the head of the family are gone. Chapter 416. What are you talking about? The ancestor of the Chin family, who was originally still irritable, frowned at this time. He went to the Qin family and supervised the situation of the Qin family now and just came back. His home was stolen. They are not going out. Have you looked for it carefully? The ancestor of the Qin family asked a little impatiently. After all, it is also possible. Every corner has been found. I haven't found several young masters. The housekeeper is also very innocent. After all, so many people are on patrol. There are superpowers. There are ordinary people. However, they were kidnapped under their noses. Sir, in the room of the eldest prince, traces of fighting were found. At this time, another subordinate hurriedly walked forward and spoke. There are traces of fighting? What kind of power? When the ancestor of the Qin family heard the report of the next person, he quickly opened his mouth and asked, "Look at it, there are no obvious traces of fighting. It shouldn't be a regular power, it should be a special specialty." The next person shook his head, and he couldn't see what kind of person was the one who made the hand. Special department? The ancestor of the Qin family took a deep breath and began to observe the traces of the fight. But he couldn't find anything. After all, Kinyu's fire system powers had already been dealt with by Mu Yun. It's not the gravity field, it's the space department, or the field. At this time, a voice sounded outside. "You trash. There was a fight in the room, and there were so many of you. Couldn't you hear it? Just run over and tell me now. What's the use? A bunch of trash. What's the use of me raising you?" The ancestor of the Qin family slapped the subordinate fiercely and spoke angrily. "Okay, don't worry. You can kidnap a person at the beginning of the 10th order without moving. At least you need the peak of the 10th order, or even the king realm, to have this ability. Now in Kyoto, the only king of powers, has been severely damaged and supervised by us. So it can't be that king realm powerhouse at all." At this time, the people around the ancestor of the Qin family began to analyze. That's the 10th order peak psychic. It's still a special department. Space, gravitational fields, domains. There are only 3 departments, so now we lock onto the target, which is much simpler. The person next to him still has a very good brain. Soon, the scope of investigation was analyzed. However, this also excluded Mu Yun and Kinyu. So it's still that sentence, smart is mistaken by clever. In Kyoto, there are only 3 or 4 who meet these conditions. The ancestor of the Qin family took the information in his hand and spoke. "This is still, because Kyoto is a gathering place for talents, so there are so many 10th order peak powerhouses of special departments. If there are other forces, even if there is only one, they can go to the sky. Put these 3 or 4 people under covert investigation. If you have been anywhere, where you are now, and what you have done to check clearly." The powerful person beside the ancestor of the Qin family spoke. "Good." The ancestor of the Qin family nodded and carried out an investigation according to this method. "When you find out who did it, then you will need to bother to make a move," the ancestor of the Qin family said to the powerful person next to him. "That's no problem. But the reward, please think about it." The psychic next to him nodded and spoke. From the content of the dialogue and the tone of this psychic person's dialogue to the ancestor of the Qin family, we can know that this supernatural has a very high status. That's natural. You can mention it. I will definitely be satisfied. The ancestor of the Qin family saw that this powerful person promised to come down and quickly opened his mouth to promise. "Your little daughter, very nice. It's a great match for me, and now, we might as well become a family. In the future, I will also serve you, senior." This powerful person hugged his fist to the ancestor of the Qin family and spoke. "What? I'm such a daughter, and I haven't thought about letting my daughter marry away." Hearing the words of this powerful person, the ancestor of the Qin family froze and quickly waved his hand. "When the time comes, Hua Guo is controlled by you, then we will not come back when we want to come back." This supernatural being, not dead, spoke again. "Nope." This time, the ancestor of the Qin family clearly refused. He can't do such a thing as selling his daughter. "What are you pretending to be here? You can even betray the country, a daughter. You still want to bargain with me?" Looking at the ancestor of the Qin family who refused again, this powerful person finally revealed his true face. "You. What do you want?" Feeling the crazy suppression of the other party's energy, the ancestor of the Chen family was also flustered. It's really wolf ambition. When the time comes to settle the matter, I will be the first to poison you. Looking at the flamboyant powerhouse, the ancestor of the Chen family swore viciously in his heart. How? Curse me in your heart? It's no use. Tonight, I'm going to go into the cave room with your daughter. This supernatural is no longer pretending, and he will enter the cave tonight. What? This doesn't work. Our ceremony in China has not yet left. When the ancestor of the Chen family heard this, he was finally completely panicked. The ceremony of Huajiuo? Old fellow, do you think I discussed with you softly because I was afraid of you? Don't toast, eat, and punish wine. At this time, the powerful person in the United States completely tore his face. Pala, as long as you help me find my son and grandson, you will enter the cave room immediately. Look how. Just give me a wedding dowry, okay? At this time, the ancestor of the Chen family also knew that it was useless to refuse. So, now he has to squeeze the last value of Pala dry. It's easy. Hearing the request of the ancestor of the Chen family, Pala nodded after thinking about it. Now, Kyoto is blocked, and no one is allowed to leave Kyoto. Pala asked the ancestor of the Chen family to give an order, and began the investigation. Good. The ancestor of the Chen family nodded, since he asked Pala to help find the kidnapped son and so, then actively cooperated. Give me the list of superpowers who match, and I'll check it myself. Pala spoke again, and asked the ancestor of the Chen family for information. Come, give the details to Pala. The ancestor of the Chen family spoke again and ordered. I'll come when I go. Pala was now in a hurry to enter the cave room, so he hurried to the location of the information. How good is this? After Pala left, the ancestor of the Chen family began to pace back and forth. He will never allow his daughter to be occupied by such a guy who has not yet evolved over. Chapter 417. Boom. In the capital, 3 10th order peak powerhouses were beaten for no reason, and they were forced to ask a lot of questions. Neither. There is only one left. Pala's brows furrowed. He originally thought that this matter could be easily solved, but now it seems that it is not so simple. The last one, the henchman of the Chen family, could not have done this at all. Moreover, even if this henchman is pretended, then he will be with them all day today, and there is no time to commit a crime at all. The 3 of them too have alibi. Right now, we can't kill innocents. Pala has not forgotten the explanation of the United States until now. After the Hua kingdom was taken over by the Chen family, the United States was to participate in the management. So now, you can't kill innocents at all. After all, in Pera's view, the high-level superpowers of the current Hua kingdom, the talents of the Hua kingdom, all belong to the United States. This is to work for the United States in the future. Aren't there a few of them? Is it Kyoto? There are still hidden high-level superpowers? Para couldn't help but speak. Looks like you still need to check it out. Para soars into the air, uses energy to penetrate, and observes every psychic. This Chen family, really the ambition of the wolf, actually borrowed 2 kings in the United States. Aren't they afraid that when the time comes, things will get out of their control? Kinyu looked at Pala, who was soaring into the air, and looked like no one in Kyoto, and couldn't help but clench his fists. Since they did it, they must have thought about the result. However, in order to stay in power, they can't care so much. Mu Yun snorted coldly. This Chen family will definitely suffer a big loss. But don't rush now. Now the entire Chen family must be looking for the young master of their own family. The ancestor of the Chen family has no intention of caring about the situation of the Qin family. Mu Yun is right. The current Chen family has become a pot of porridge. Even Pala, the king of Kyoto, was looking for Mu Yun and the 2 of them. Therefore, now Mu Yun and Kinyu are a good time to sneak into the Qin family. Let's go. Go to the Qin family now, it's much safer. Mu Yun smiled. Everything was under his control. Good. Kinyu nodded. He also knew that now the Qin family was the time when the guard was most lax. Then this Meeking's surveillance. Looking at Pala in the air, Kinyu was still a little stunned. What is that? Mu Yun said, and gave Kinyu 2 rings. This is still the ring obtained from Pan Shai and Chang. I didn't expect that it would still come in handy now. Go. The two who hid their aura quickly entered the Qin family. Go see how your grandfather is now. Mu Yan and Qin Yu slowly approached Qin Xianming's room. Eileen, your grandfather's heart is really big, what time is it now? And he fell asleep. Mu Yan wordlessly pointed to Qin Xianming in the room and spoke. My grandfather, he has a little illness, it can't be. Qin Yu, who was a close relative, must have thought much deeper than Mu Yan. You see that he breathes steadily, his face is rosy, and he looks like he has a disease. Your grandfather, this old fox, is controlled. It won't be pretend. Mu Yan frowned at this time and reacted. What? My grandfather is pretending? Hearing Mu Yan's words, Qin Yu was also stunned for a moment. He saved his grandfather so much that he didn't think so much at all. Your grandfather is such an old fox, so easy to be controlled, is the most suspicious. Although the other party has a king realm powerhouse, your grandfather can't be controlled by the other party so easily. Mu Yan nodded, watching Qin Xianming sleep so steadily, it didn't look like he was controlled at all. Then what did grandpa do this for? Qin Yu asked, a little puzzled. The families and forces that led to the ambition of many wolves were annihilated. Mu Yan spoke, this is not simple. Of course, your grandfather may really be controlled by the Qin family, and this possibility cannot be ruled out. This depends on how hard the king of the Qin family has been hit, and whether he has no ability to resist at all. Also, who is the person who severely damaged the king power? Now, as long as you figure this out, everything will be revealed. Go in and ask grandpa, don't you know everything? Qin Yu said, and entered the room. At this time, Qin Xianming in the room suddenly opened his eyes and gave Qin Yu and Mu Yan a look. This made Qin Yu and Mu Yan stop instantly. Sure enough, there is a. Qin Xianming stood up and used his fingers to gesture out a string of words. Overall, he is still under control. However, he has the ability to break free of control. It's just that now, he still needs to endure for a while. You ask him, what is the situation of the Qin family's current king power? Mu Yan said to Qin Yu. Also, why don't you just go in and say, what's the point of this air comparison? Because in grandpa's room, various organs have been arranged by the Qin family. As long as we enter, it will definitely be exposed. Qin Yu obtained a lot of information through communication. The king of the Qin family, who was controlled by the king of the United States, was unable to recover from his injuries. Therefore, the situation of grandfather and the situation of the Qin family now is still very dangerous. Qin Yu informed Mu Yan of a series of information. The means to control the recovery of the king's powers? It's not bad, it saves you worries. After Mu Yan heard Qin Yu's words, he nodded. This American powerhouse, the means are really good. So what do we do now? Qin Yu looked at Mu Yan and asked. What to do? You ask your grandfather if you want to get him out. Mu Yan replied. Grandpa said that he eats well here and sleeps well, so don't worry about him. Qin Yu nodded and spoke. Maid, this old fox, you can see that it is pretending. What does he need us to do? Let him hurry up. However, I need to be paid to help your Qin family do things. Mu Yan waved his hand and spoke. Okay, I see. Qin Yu used gestures again to communicate with Qin Xianming. Grandpa said that we need to count the forces that Kyoto is now controlled by and count the voluntary defectors. Also, bring together the forces that are still loyal to the Qin family today. After a while, Qin Yu passed the content of the conversation with his grandfather to Mu Yan again. Maid, old thing, let me put this on hold for you to run errands? I don't care about this. Mu Yan finally couldn't bear it anymore and spoke coldly to Qin Xianming in the room. Chapter 418. Little noise. Qin Yu looked at the furious Mu Yan and couldn't help but remind. Little fart. Your entire Qin family is still under the control of your grandfather. You are the opening concert now, and no one outside can notice it. Mu Yan said angrily. It won't be. Qin Yu scratched his head. He trusted his grandfather. Wouldn't it be what? That's it. It's not convenient for you to make a move now. I also know, but I need to be paid to help you. Mu Yan looked at Qin Xianming and spoke. Although Xiaoyao can rest assured, I have prepared a reward for Xiaoyao. Moreover, it is a payment that satisfies you. Qin Xianming, who was in the room, showed a smile on his face and spoke. I'm telling you, you'd better put away your flowery heart, women and crystal nuclei and the like. They can't satisfy my appetite. Mu Yun snorted coldly and said. The entire military region was recaptured thanks to the help of Xiao Bao. In fact, to be honest, even if I had the opportunity to turn over, it would be difficult, and it would take a while. But because of Xiao Bao's help, I'm 100% sure that I will turn over in a very short time. And you can also eradicate dissidents in this extremely short time. This kind of fancy trick, I will definitely not use it on Xiao Bao. Qin Qianming accompanied the smiling face and spoke. You know, I hate it when people take advantage of me, or take advantage of my kindness. Mu Yun's brows furrowed and he spoke. Little friend, this is not using you. I'm still controlled now. If it weren't for your appearance, I'm afraid I would have been controlled for at least a few weeks. Qin Qianming quickly spoke. Mu Yun now saved his life. Little friend, thank you. Qin Qianming bowed deeply to Mu Yun. That's it. For your sake, I'll help you this time. The most unsavory thing for Mu Yun was this kind of emotional knife, waved his hand, and agreed to Qin Qianming's request. But the final reward, I hope you can satisfy me. Mu Yun said and turned to leave. Don't worry, it will definitely satisfy you. Qin Qianming's voice sounded behind Mu Yun. Now every force and family, we don't know what they really think in their hearts. Once we choose the wrong family to reveal our identity, I'm afraid that it will be exposed immediately. At this time, Qin Yu made a mistake again. Isn't this simple? Mu Yun patted Qin Yu's shoulder and signaled that there was no need to worry about this question. We just need to transfiguration, and then through the subordinates of each family, we can know the general idea of this family. Then we can talk to the core figures of each family through this general idea, and we can know the true thoughts of each family. The rest is simple. Mu Yun opened his mouth to say the plan. Good. When Qin Yu heard Mu Yun's plan, he nodded quickly. After the two dressed up in disguise, they entered a force. Through various means, the two divided the various families and forces into categories in just one day. Give these materials to your grandfather, and let him handle the rest himself. Mu Yun said to Qin Yu. After all, this can also be regarded as a family affair of the Qin family. How to do it specifically depends on Qin Qianming's attitude. Spare your life, spare your life. Suddenly, Mu Yun and Qin Yu heard several voices begging for mercy. What a situation. Mu Yun frowned, and his figure quickly disappeared into the darkness. Are they going to shoot these innocent people? Qin Yu looked at the innocent people lined up and frowned. I want to let us stand up obediently in this way. But this is the end times. What kind of humanity is tested? It's just a brain problem. Mu Yun spoke with disdain. Now is the end times. Everyone is for himself. Who cares whether others live or die? You know these people. Mu Yun pointed to several people who were about to be shot and asked. It's all the Chen family's own people. Qin Yu was on the side and spoke. The Chen family's housekeeper and subordinates are all among them. Gee. Mu Yun sighed and closed his eyes. Don't be impulsive. Mu Yun opened his mouth to Qin Yu and said. Qin Yu ran out to save the people of the Chen family as soon as he was excited. Then the efforts they have been making in the past few days will not be in vain. Now hand over my son and grandchildren, and I can spare you the death penalty. And I can give you glory and wealth. But if you still don't hand over people, the end will be the same as them. The ancestor of the Chen family said nothing, and directly took the lives of several people. Isn't this pure brain? If you have this energy, you sit for your own people. It is worthy of the Chen family who collaborated with the enemy in treason, and led wolves into the house. I really don't have any brains. Mu Yun looked at the ancestor of the Chen family on the side, and had a feeling of looking at the mental retardation. The ancestor of the Chen family is the realm of the middle of the 10th order. You said, we tied up the ancestor of the Chen family tonight. How? Mu Yun turned his head, looked at Qin Yu, and asked. This is naturally excellent. Once the ancestor of the Chen family is kidnapped by us, the Chen family will definitely become a pot of porridge. At that time, the Chen family will not be able to attack itself. And the families and forces that support the Chen family will also choose to defect again. Hearing Mu Yun's suggestion, Qin Yu nodded. Tonight, the ancestor of the Chen family is estimated to be crazy. At that time, it is a good time for us to start. Kinyu's analysis is very reasonable. At that time, the ancestor of the Qin family will also be tied, and the Qin family will be invincible. There is still one king of the United States left, and he has no ability to control the whole of Kyoto at all. Finally, he obeyed the orders of the Qin family, which was caused by the Civil War. However, if you obey the orders of the American powerhouse in the end, it is treason. Treason, in the bones of the Chinese, is not allowed. Then wait for the evening. First take a good rest, eat something to replenish your strength. Mu Yun handed the food to Kinyu. In the past few days, he has been running back and forth, and he has not rested properly. Soon time flew by, and evening came. Who the hell is it? At this time, the ancestor of the Qin family was really crazy. His own sons and grandchildren have been kidnapped. What is the use of him taking this to a country? Besides, he is so old, it is impossible to have another one, right? Even if you are really born, there is not enough time to cultivate power. As long as you find out who the murderer is, I will personally send my daughter into your arms. At this time, the ancestor of the Qin family, who was already crazy, had already ignored it. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 419. After all, in his traditional concept, even grandchildren can inherit the family business, but women cannot. He can't give away his hard-earned family business to an outsider. Seriously? When Para heard these words, he instantly came to the spirit. Originally, he still wanted to overlord the bow, but the US headquarters sent a message to calm him down a little, and before he completely controlled the Hua kingdom, he had to stabilize the Qin family first. And he, for the daughter of the ancestor of the Qin family, has coveted it for a long time. It was from the first sight that I wanted to drag myself to my bed. So now the ancestors of the Qin family have relaxed. No matter what it is, he will try his best to complete it. I mean what I say. In order to find his son and grandson, the current ancestor of the Qin family is no longer careless. Good. Although Pala was looking for the whereabouts of the Qin family's eldest son and grandson yesterday, he did not put all his energy into it. After all, after the United States gave the order, it let him down. Good. Tomorrow, I will let you meet your grandson and son. Pala spoke excitedly. He believed that with his powers and rank, it would be easy to find anyone in this Kyoto. Well, I'll wait for your good news. Hearing Pala's promise, the ancestor of the Qin family took a deep breath and nodded. I'll come when I go. Para walked outside the courtyard and began a door-to-door inspection. Hurry, go, and ask your grandfather when to start fighting back. Let him give us the power he still has in his hands, and we can also cooperate inside and outside. Mu Yun looked at the arrogant Pala and said to Kinyu, okay, I see. Kinyu nodded and quickly sneaked into the Qin family. Grandpa asked me to give this to you. After a while, Kinyu returned to the meeting point that he had discussed with Mu Yun. What is it? Mu Yun took this four-like image in his hand and asked, what is this so-called tiger charm? Grandpa said that this is a signal flare. As long as we need support, we can detonate this signal flare, and the forces and families in the entire Kyoto are effectively loyal to the Qin family. As well as the superpowers, they will provide support as soon as they see the signal flares being detonated. Grandpa also said that, as long as they did not support the Qin family this time, they were traitors. Kinyu informed Mu Yun of the purpose of this four-like appearance. Gee, your grandfather will really say that the neutral families and forces before people are all in this civil war, and they have no choice but to take a stand. Old fox, it's an old fox. Mu Yun couldn't help but sigh. This Qin Shianming is really a good means. This ancestor of the Qin family, in the final analysis, is just a pawn. It's just Qin Shianming's pawn to exclude dissidents. Then let's do it tonight. First tie up the ancestor of the Qin family, and then directly launch a counterattack. After Mu Yun pondered for a moment, he spoke. Good. Just tonight. Kinyu nodded, and finally waited for a counterattack. Tonight, this meeking psychic should be back very late. After all, he's still going door to door. This is a good opportunity. Mu Yun looked at the arrogant Pala and said. The time was fast, and it was evening. Night falls, the night of the end times. That is not the finger of the finger. This also happened to be convenient for Mu Yun and Kinyu's actions. Get ready. It's better to complete the kidnapping with one hit. Mu Yun reminded Kinyu. The longer the time, the more fighting sounds and traces, the worse it is for us. Mu Yun spoke to Kinyu again. I understand. Kinyu nodded and buckled the energy booster on his body. Go. The two took advantage of the night to sneak into the Chen family's mansion. At this time, in the room of the ancestor of the Chen family. Who the hell is it? What the hell is it to kidnap my son and grandson? The ancestor of the Chen family spoke viciously, but this could only be incompetent rage. Sir, you dissipate your breath. A subordinate person stepped forward and opened his mouth to comfort. Get out. Get me out of here. The ancestor of the Chen family frowned and spoke coldly. Sir, we. Several powerful people looked embarrassed. After all, they were in this room, protecting the ancestor of the Chen family. I'm a mid-10th order and need the protection of you 8th order people. Get out. Get out of here for me. Looking at the supernatural who did not leave, the ancestor of the Chen family roared again. Mr. Chen, please go out too. I think I can be quiet alone. There may be other gains. The ancestor of the Chen family turned around at this time and spoke to a middle-aged man. After all, this man's strength is the peak of the 10th order. So for this man, he still has to have a certain amount of respect. Although there is Pala now, Pala is not under his control. Good. If you have anything, call me as soon as possible. The middle-aged man nodded and left the room. But this middle-aged man finally looked around very uneasily. In this way, the ancestor of the Chen family transferred all the people around him. Who the hell is it? If I find you, I will definitely let you be cut by 1,000 cuts. The ancestor of the Chen family spoke viciously again. Are you talking about me? At this time, Mu Yun's voice sounded in the room. What man? Hearing Mu Yun's voice, a smile appeared at the corner of the Chen family's mouth. I didn't expect that you really dare to come. Mr. Chen, our plan succeeded. The ancestor of the Chen family couldn't help but laugh proudly. He asked everyone to go out, just to let Mu Yun relax his guard. Unexpectedly, Mu Yun was really trapped. Die. A sneer appeared at the corner of Mr. Chen's mouth, directly urging the power to attack Mu Yun. Space Department. Mu Yun felt the pressure around him and frowned. I didn't expect that it would be a bit tricky to meet a 10th order peak space system powerhouse here. An early 9th order, an early 10th order. Hey, just because of you, you dare to break into my room. The ancestor of the Chen family said with a mocking face. How dare your organization? Looking at Mu Yun and Kinyu in cloaks, the ancestor of the Chen family still thought that Mu Yun was some kind of underground organization. Withdraw. The appearance of the 10th order peak spatial system powerhouse, plus the ancestor of the Chen family, Kinyu and Mu Yun, it is not easy to deal with. Afraid of what? Mu Yun smiled coldly and had no intention of leaving. One is so old, one looks like he has a bad brain. That's why the organization sent two of us to tie you up. Mu Yun raised his head and answered the ancestor of the Chen family. Gee, if you don't say it, your mouth is still very hard. The ancestor of the Chen family sneered. Chapter 420. Is it hard mouth? Won't you know in a moment? Mu Yun turned his head and mocked. You are an old fellow. How can you be so confident? Mu Yun, I'm afraid. Kinyu has always taken the lead, but today's situation is difficult to overcome. In his opinion, it is a little difficult to retreat with the whole body. Afraid of what? Take out your military soul. Mu Yun patted Kinyu's shoulder and opened his mouth to comfort. You two, let's go together. The ancestor of the Chen family was full of confidence at this time. Looking at Mu Yun and the two, he didn't even think about letting Mr. Chen make a move. I'm enough for myself. Mu Yun just smiled and quickly disappeared in place. Huh. Absolute realm. Mr. Chen, who was in the rear, frowned when he saw the disappeared Mu Yun. He vaguely felt that something was wrong. Unshine. Mu Yun drank lightly and directly brought Chuantian out of the small world. Boom. A 5-colored divine light hit Mr. Chen's body so unexpectedly. You know, Chuantian's all-out blow is an attack power with the Realm of Kings. Although this blow did not hit Mr. Chen's vital point, it also directly made him lose all ability to resist. And Chuan Tian turned his head and looked at the ancestor of the Chen family who was suppressed by Mu Yun's absolute domain and attacked again. Just between the electric light and flint, the ancestor of the Chen family and Mr. Chen lost all their ability to resist. My wife is really powerful. Mu Yun gave a thumbs up to Chuan Tian. His wife is really strong. In just a few seconds, he put down a 10th order peak plus a 10th order mid stage. The two of them can't die, right? Looking at the Chen family ancestor and Mr. Chen lying on the ground, Mu Yun asked. It would be a strange thing if a 10th order psychic could die so easily. Chuan Tian shook his head, indicating that this kind of thing did not exist at all. That's good. Don't die. There will be no value. Sometimes, the dead are more useful than the living, but the ancestor of the Chen family is definitely more useful than dead. Mu Yun said, and threw the two into the small world. My wife, I will ask you again if necessary. Mu Yun said to Chuan Tian. Good. Chuan Tian nodded. This time he came with Mu Yun to solve things, not to take a vacation. Qin Yu had not reacted at this time. He only felt and dreamed yes, the ancestor of the Chen family and Mr. Chen. Just like that, they were tied? Let's go. It is estimated that Pala will be back soon. Mu Yun looked at the time and spoke. Although they had not been in the Chen family for a long time, the sound of fighting just now had indeed appeared. Good. Qin Yu nodded. Now what Mu Yun said, it was what it was. Following Mu Yun, Qin Yu couldn't even think about it now. Actually, we have the ability to subdue Pala, right? It's like subduing Paul. Qin Yu suddenly asked Mu Yun. Yes. Mu Yun nodded and admitted calmly. This Pala, like Paul, is a man-made king. Although the strength he possessed surpassed the 10th order a lot, in Mu Yun's eyes, it was still very easy to accept it. Then why are we going to such great lengths? Qin Yu asked a little puzzled. After all, he has always grown up in the army and is used to it. Because we want to see if various families and forces are willing to sell the country for the sake of life. Mu Yun replied. In the last days, all human nature is infinitely magnified. And Mu Yun just wants to see if there is a bottom line in this infinitely amplified human nature. I see. Qin Yu nodded. Mu Yun did this now. It was just to make the Qin family more effortless when dealing with this matter. After all, Qin Ming's idea now is to eradicate dissidents. Qin Yu, what do you think about this matter? Mu Yun looked at Qin Yu and asked. In my opinion, selling the country for glory deserves to die. Qin Yu didn't think about it and answered directly. You say, in the last days, people should also die in order to survive? Mu Yun asked again. It is better to live without a bottom line than to die. This time, Qin Yu still thought about it. What you said is true, but you have always stood above your Qin family's position. Mu Yun smiled and spoke. Everyone has their own position, and if the position is different, the ideas generated are different. So there is a different way of saying it. I don't take action to control Para, because I want to see which forces will sell the country for glory. And you can't think of it that way. The Qin family is the controller of the Hua kingdom. Shouldn't what you want to do is to give shelter to your own people? It would be a big mistake not to be able to shelter and to observe the position of the people. Mu Yun looked at Qin Yu and spoke again. Brother Mu, why are you suddenly telling me this? Qin Yu's eyes became clear and he asked. Go and tell your grandfather, if you don't want to see the whole of Kyoto bleeding, put away your temptation. Mu Yun sighed and said to Qin Yu. Good, I understand. Qin Yu took a deep breath, and at this time, he was finally thorough. One more thing. Looking at Qin Yu, who was about to leave, Mu Yun spoke again. Through this incident, have you become jealous, defensive, or even quick to get rid of me? Mu Yun looked at Qin Yu and asked seriously. Having you is the great fortune of Hua Guo. The entire Hua kingdom needs people like you who can sit in town, arbitrarily labeling people with trumped up charges. I'm really not good at this thing. Qin Yu also looked at Mu Yun and answered seriously. There you go. Mu Yun nodded. And Qin Yu also quickly returned to the Qin family. Grandpa. Qin Yu did not dodge this time, but directly entered Qin Ming's room. Coming back so soon. Looking at his grandson, Qin Ming had a kind face. Grandpa, you make a move. Qin Yu looked at Qin Ming and spoke. Shot. What to do? When Qin Ming heard Kinyu's words, he was stunned for a moment. His strength, could it be that Kinyu knew? Please stop tempting. If we finally make it clear that we are against us, are we going to get rid of them all? Now, in the last days, everyone just wants to live. And our Kin family, as the leader of the Hua kingdom, originally wanted to provide them with shelter, not temptation. Kinyu took a deep breath and spoke. Kinyu, you have grown up. Qin Shianming took a deep look at Kinyu and smiled. Chapter 421. For Qin Shianming, Kinyu is the best heir. His son, he can't see a single one. Other grandchildren, he also can't look at either. Among so many descendants, the only thing he could look at was Kinyu. Because the things in Kinyu's bones are most like him. There were even some things that Kinyu was beyond him. However, there are places where Kinyu still needs to grow. Kinyu loves barracks life, so sometimes, when dealing with some things, it is inevitable that he will be a little stiff. So Kinyu still needs to be honed. But from the conversation with Kinyu just now, Kinyu is now fully qualified to be a qualified heir. Kinyu, you're right. Qin Shianming looked at Kinyu and showed an affirmative gaze. You woke me up too. But you told your grandfather the truth. Did Mu Yun say these words? Qin Shianming looked at Kinyu and asked. After all, during this period of time, Kinyu was alone with Mu Yun. Kinyu was easily affected by Mu Yun's words and deeds. Yes, these words. Mu Yun said it. Kinyu nodded and did not hide anything. Kinyu is not the kind of person who deceives others in order to invite merit. Mu Yun, this kid, it's good. It's very good. Hearing Kinyu's answer, Qin Shianming couldn't help but nod. Did he say anything else? Qin Shianming asked curiously. Mu Yun asked me if I would be jealous of him. Kinyu did not tell Qin Shianming all of Mu Yun's words. After all, even if he is frank, he knows what to say and what not to say. Oh. Haha, what do you say then? Hearing Kinyu's words, Qin Shianming couldn't help but smile. I said, I'm not good at putting trumped up charges on others. Kinyu replied. What Mu Yun said is not unreasonable. This kid is indeed fearful in all aspects. Even me, at such an age, has experienced all kinds of winds and waves. But for this kid, I also have to fight the spirit of 12. This kid is too sophisticated, and he can't hide anything from him. Qin Shianming sighed, thinking that he was deliberately hiding at home, and he could be seen through by Mu Yun at a glance. Moreover, this kid has too many whole cards and too many helpers. So, Qin Shianming couldn't help but sigh again. Mu Yun, this kid, wanted to overthrow the Qin family. It was estimated that it was possible. Then Grandpa, what do you think of Mu Yun? Do you want to get rid of it quickly? Kinyu took out the words that Mu Yun asked him and asked Qin Shianming. You boy. This is the end times, and now we are not thinking about how to take power. It's like you said, ordinary people just want to live, and we, the Qin family, as the leader of the Hua kingdom, what we need to do is to give everyone a sanctuary, not intrigue for rights. We, Hua Guo, need talents like Mu Yun. Hua Guo can only survive in the last days by relying on talents like Mu Yun. Do you understand? Qin Shianming looked at things much more thoroughly than Kinyu. After all, Qin Shianming has experienced a lot of things, and the road he has traveled is also very much. I see. It's the grandson who is superficial. Kinyu lowered his head and spoke. Just like this time, if it weren't for Mu Yun's help, even if I hid my means, I'm afraid I wouldn't have turned over so easily. Mu Yun, he is a person with great righteousness in his heart. Qin Shianming couldn't help but extend his thumb to Mu Yun. He didn't make a fortune, and he didn't threaten us with that to gain any benefits. Even if he said he wanted to be paid, he didn't make it clear what he wanted and how much he wanted. When he said this, he just didn't want to be used by me. In the last days, in the face of national disasters, there are still very few people who carry king. Mu Yun is the one who carries king. Qin Shianming spoke again. Okay, you go and tell Mu Yun, and the rest of the matter will be handled by this old man of mine. You go and take Mu Yun to the Qin family and treat him well. Remember, don't let Mu Yun leave until this matter is dealt with. After all, I still have a gift to give him with my own hands. Qin Shianming turned his head, looked at Kinyu, and spoke. But Grandpa, if it's a long time, I'm worried about Mu Yun. Kinyu spoke. After all, Mu-Yun still had a lot of things to deal with. He couldn't have stayed in Kyoto all the time. Don't underestimate my old man. Soon, maybe, by the time you eat, I will already deal with it. Qin Shianming patted Kinyu's shoulder and signaled this problem. Don't worry. The group of guys in the Qin family have all been tied up by Mu-Yun, right? Suddenly, Qin Shianming asked Kinyu. Yes, it's all tied. Kinyu nodded. Now the ancestor of the Qin family is still in Mu-Yun's small world. Old fellow, stop sleeping. Let's go. Go get down to business. Hearing Kinyu's answer, Qin Shianming walked out of the room and spoke. And with Qin Shianming's shout, the king of the Qin family quietly came to Qin Shianming's side. At this time, Mu-Yun was in the small world. How? The three grandchildren have all come together. Be happy. Mu-Yun looked at the Chen family, lying neatly in front of him, with an indescribable sense of funny. Paul, how are you? The ancestor of the Chen family originally had hope, and in his opinion, as long as Pala rushed back, he would definitely be able to rescue him. But now it seems that his idea is too naive. Even if it is Paul, he is tied up by Mu-Yun, and Napala is not much stronger than Paul's combat power. They have kings and powers. You guys have the wrong news, so be embarrassed to ask me. Paul is now so dead in his heart that he doesn't want to say anything. People, Mu-Yun has a real king powerhouse. He was defeated and tied up. Isn't that normal? They have a real king and a strong person. It's impossible. Hearing Paul's words, Qin Shianming asked incredulously. After all, in his opinion, there is only one king realm powerhouse in the Hua kingdom. You mean, I'm lying to you? I was deliberately tied up by Mu-Yun? Paul frowned, turned around directly, and didn't want to say anything. A few of you, get ready. After all, after seeing my small world, it is impossible to leave the small world alive. Catch up and don't bother you. Mu-Yun said and left the small world directly. And Chuantian and Kaokis were checking the supplies from an extremely far away, and they didn't bother to look at them at all. Chapter 422. Wait a minute. Just when Mu-Yun was about to leave the small world, Paul in the rear suddenly opened his mouth and stopped Mu-Yun. What's wrong? Have a last word. But I'm not interested in helping you make it happen. Mu-Yun turned his head, looked at Paul, and spoke. That's not what I mean. I will definitely not divulge any secrets in this. Paul quickly spoke. Last words? He doesn't want to die yet. He took such a big risk to become an artificial king, and now he can just enjoy the glory brought to him by the king realm. But now, because he carried out a mission to the United States, he was buried here. He is not willing. He still wants to continue his glory and wealth. How can I trust you? After all, you white-mouthed person is not worthy of any trust. Mu-Yun shook his head, indicating that it was just a sentence, and he couldn't let himself believe it yet. After all, he ran out of his palm, and after returning to the United States, what he wanted to do, Mu-Yun was beyond his reach. I can make promises. Paul saw that Mu-Yun showed signs of letting go, and quickly showed his loyalty. What? Mu-Yun seemed to have heard a big joke. Promised? Isn't that a trick to deceive minors? This kind of thing, Mu-Yun will believe. You better be practical. If you don't hurry up and come up with something that can make me believe, someone will take your life after I leave the small world. Mu-Yun looked at Paul and said seriously. I mean, you still have a chance. Mu-Yun spoke again. I can swear. Hearing Mu-Yun's words, Paul spoke again. This time, he was already a little hesitant. After all, after making a vow, it is equivalent to having a contract. As long as he violates the content of his oath, he will definitely suffer backlash. It doesn't bring me any value or benefit. Can you understand me? Mu-Yun shook his head, although he swore that he could indeed let Paul not leak the news. But what benefits can this bring to Mu-Yun? Mu-Yun fully tried so hard to catch him into the small world, but not just to make Paul swear. You mean? At this time, Paul finally reacted. At the very least, sign a contract with me. Mu-Yun nodded and spoke. Contract? Hearing Mu-Yun's words, Paul took a deep breath. Unwilling? Mu-Yun snorted coldly and asked with interest. Then you can choose to die now. Mu-Yun smiled and turned to leave. I do. Now, as long as you can live. It doesn't matter what he does. Ask for a master servant contract. This is to give you face. Originally I wanted to sign a slave contract with you. Mu-Yun spoke. What? Master servant contract? Paul flinched a little when he heard this. Although the master servant contract is better than the slave contract, the master's words must also be obeyed. And, when the master dies, the servants must bury the master. Don't you want to? I'm not reluctant either. After all, there is no shortage of upsudoking like you around me. Mu-Yun opened his mouth and looked at Paul. What do I need to do to be your servant? Paul asked, after thinking for a while. In any case, it is better to die than to live. You don't need to do anything. It's just that, if I need some information about the United States, you need to provide it to me. Of course, under normal circumstances, I would not ask you for confidential information. After all, I don't want to put myself in danger. Mu-Yun heard Paul, who was relieved, and spoke again. Do you mean what you say? Hearing Mu-Yun's words, Paul couldn't help but ask. I, as a person, have an advantage. That is, a spit and a nail. There will definitely be no problems. Mu-Yun opened his mouth and assured Paul. Paul, you must not. At this time, looking at the shaky Paul, the ancestor of the Chen family spoke loudly. After all, if Paul had signed a master servant contract with Mu-Yun, their Chen family would really have no chance to turn over. Paul, if you and Mu-Yun sign a master servant contract, the United States will not let you go when the time comes. Looking at Paul, who did not take care of himself, the ancestor of the Chen family actually moved the United States out. Shut up. Paul turned his head, looked at the ancestor of the Chen family, and spoke angrily. You really did everything to drag me into the water. Paul knew that he had a chance to live, because he was worthwhile. The ancestors of the Chen family must be hanging by a thread, and basically have no chance of survival. After all, they couldn't create any value for Mu-Yun. You say so. Are you worthy of the cultivation of the United States? Once discovered by the United States, what will your family do? At this time, the ancestor of the Chen family became more and more vigorous. This contract, except for the two of us, can feel it. Others simply can't feel it. After all, the contract is something that even the king can bind. Mu-Yun spoke, breaking all the illusions of the ancestor of the Chen family. I don't have so much time to spend here with you. Mu-Yun looked at Paul, who was still wavering, sighed, and prepared to leave. I promise. After hearing Mu-Yun's words, Paul finally agreed. After all, if no one can feel the contract, it means that no one can discover this secret. And Mu-Yun, it is impossible to make this secret public. If Mu-Yun was the same as what he just said, he didn't have to do anything or provide any confidential information. This master servant contract was not impossible to sign. After all, it is still important to survive. Paul, you. Hear Paul promise. The ancestor of the Chen family was finally anxious. Shut up. Paul looked at the ancestor of the Chen family, who was still forcing Lele, and finally he couldn't bear it anymore, and suddenly rioted. Thunderball. Paul roared angrily, and rushed towards the ancestor of the Chen family. Kill. Paul's fatal blow suddenly fell on the ancestor of the Chen family, who no longer had the ability to resist. Poof. You. Just one blow made the ancestor of the Chen family scream. Grandpa. Father. Everyone in the Chen family fell into deep pain after a short period of confusion. They didn't expect that Paul would suddenly make a move against the ancestor of the Chen family. You give me death too. At this time, Paul, already red-eyed, looking at the descendants of the Chen family who were shouting, rushed directly to them, ready to take their lives as well. Okay, stop, hurry up and sign the contract. Just when Paul was about to succeed, Mu-Yun's voice suddenly appeared. Chapter 423. Phew. As Mu-Yun's words fell, the descendants of the Chen family could be regarded as being able to save their lives. The grandchildren of the Chen family were so scared that they peed in the crotch of their pants. Hurry. Looking at Paul, who still wanted to say something, Mu-Yun frowned. Good. Paul quickly nodded, because he had already heard the impatience in Mu-Yun's mouth. He was really worried that Mu-Yun would suddenly burst out and beat him up. I'm Paul, willing to recognize Mu-Yun as the master. No two hearts. With Paul's opening, the power of the contract begins to take effect. Mu Yun felt the birth of the connection with Paul, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. In this way, if there is anything on the other side of the United States, Mu Yun can't know it at the first time. After all, as a king realm, Paul already had access to most of the secrets. Of course, Mu Yun will not use Paul in a short time. Moreover, now the secrets of the United States, Mu Yun is not interested. However, the country of the wolf ambition of the United States, when the time comes, will definitely plot against the country of China and Mu Yun again. At this point, Paul is useful. This is called unpreparedness, knowing oneself and knowing the other party can win 100 battles. Master, I don't understand. Why are you keeping a few of them? Are you explaining to the official who are GUO? However, if they leak the affairs of this small world, I'm afraid that the official who are GUO will also plot against them. After all, the allure of this small world is simply not blocked by anyone, especially in this apocalypse. When he just wanted to cut the grass and remove the roots, Mu Yun stopped him. Paul was puzzled why Mu Yun would leave the lives of several members of the Chen family. Don't worry, I'm just leaving them alive. However, I will definitely not let them leave the small world. After all, I understand everything you say. Mu Yun looked at the several Chen family members who were trembling, and spoke. What do you mean? When Paul heard Mu Yun's answer, he seemed to have thought of something. I mean, this small world, so wide, needs a few people to take care of it, and a few of them are good. The rank is high, and it also provokes me. Mu Yun would not casually restrict the personal freedom of others. But these guys, since they provoked themselves, left a few of them here to work for themselves. Then aren't you afraid, will the official who are GUO ask you for someone at that time? In fact, Paul still wants to take the lives of several people. After all, this is how to preserve his secret. But Paul, who had already signed the master servant contract, could not take action against the Chen family without Mu Yun's order. So now, he's using the agitation method. I have the right to leave a few of them. Just don't worry, I won't let them leave the small world for half a step. Even if I don't think about you, I have to think about myself. Mu Yun could see what Paul was thinking. We are willing to stay in the small world forever. At this time, Chen Ji spoke loudly. Little noise, scare me. Mu Yun turned his head and spoke. Okay, you go. You just say that you ran away in the barracks, and no one will suspect you. As for Pala, he hasn't seen you either. After all, you've always been in my little world. Except for a few of them, no one else has seen you. Chuyu. Mu Yun spoke to Chuyu who was not far away. What's wrong again? Hearing Mu Yun's shout, Chuyu reluctantly walked over. Wow. The moment Paul saw Chuyu, he couldn't take his eyes off. 10 slaps in the face. Mu Yun looked at this looking Paul and spoke coldly. And Mu Yun was just a word, and Paul couldn't resist, and twitched his mouth fiercely. This kind of strength made Chuyu a little shocked when he saw it. Send him to the barracks. Mu Yun spoke to Chuyu. If you are in the barracks, if you leave, no one will suspect you. Mu Yun looked at Paul, whose face was already swollen, and spoke. Yes, thank you master for thinking so thoughtfully for me. After hearing Mu Yun's words, Paul quickly nodded. I'll send him myself. Chuyu looked at Mu Yun and asked a little uneasily. Aren't you afraid that he will plot against me? Remembering Paul's straightened lewd eyes just now, Chuyu reluctantly spoke. He just looked at you, and I'll let him pump himself several big mouths. If he plots against you, I will directly let him kill himself. Mu Yun said that there was no problem. Here he listened to you and left your side, and he is still so obedient? Chuyu asked with a little disbelief. I signed a master servant contract with him, and he must listen to the words of the master. It's like the ancient saying, a king wants his subjects to die, and his subjects have to die. So, don't worry. Mu Yun promised Chuyu. Seriously? Chuyu asked again. Okay, it's the blink of an eye. I'll accompany you. Mu Yun sighed. This little sister-in-law. There are too many dramas. That's pretty much it. Hearing Mu Yun's words, Chuyu smiled. You little girl. Mu Yun shook his head helplessly. Let's go. Mu Yun patted Chuyu's shoulder and disappeared in place with Paul. There you go. Mu Yun waved his hand and spoke. By the way, give you a batch of supplies, which you will use on the road. Mu Yun thought, this is all signed with himself, master and servant contract. Give a little benefit to himself. Give a little benefit. After all, this starved to death halfway. Didn't he lose a servant of the king realm? Thank you, master. Now in the last days, no matter what kind of country or rank, it is unable to resist the allure of materials. Go ahead. Mu Yun waved his hand. Now the small world has expanded 3 times, and there are more materials. Let's go. Let's go back. The Qin family should be looking for us now. Looking at the departing pool, Mu Yun said to Chu Yu. HMPH. You really can command people, and you don't let people rest for a moment. Chu Yu snorted coldly and said, Mu Yun, where have you been? As soon as Mu Yun teleported back to Kyoto, he heard Kinyu's hurried voice. What's wrong? Mu Yun did not answer Kinyu's question. After all, Kinyu was not his own. Grandpa has already dealt with all the affairs in Kyoto. Let me invite you over. Kinyu didn't dig into the bottom line. After all, everyone had their own things to do. Are you preparing a gift for me? Then let's go. Mu Yun heard that Qin Shianming had an invitation and was interested. After all, Qin Shianming still owed himself a big reward. Chapter 424. After all, Qin Shianming's reward this time will definitely not be bad. Anyway, it can't be worse than the reward of the spiritual vein. If it is not as good as the spiritual vein, then Qin Shianming, the leader, is really in vain. Mu Gangzi, here you are. Seeing Mu Yun arrive, Qin Shianming stood up and stepped forward to greet him. Your processing speed is really good. Qin Shianming dealt with this civil war in just one meal. Of course, if Mu Yun had not arrived to lay the groundwork, Qin Shianming would not have been able to handle it, even if he had the means to reach the sky, and the time of 10 meals would not have been completed. Mu Yun had already dealt with everything. In the end, only the Scourge of Power was left for the Qin family. That's thanks to Xiaoyao's help. If not, I'm afraid I'll have to endure the humiliation for several days. Qin Shianming welcomed Mu Yun to his seat and spoke. Our Qin family, this time we owe Xiaoyao a great favor. Qin Shianming would never have thought that a young man in his 20s could actually rescue the rulers of the Hua kingdom. Hey, don't say that. Get practical. Mu Yun quickly waved his hand. You said that you owe an overwhelming favor. It is an overwhelming favor? Words on the lips. It doesn't work. This little friend can rest assured. Hearing Mu Yun's words, Qin Shianming quickly spoke. Kinyu. Qin Shianming suddenly looked at Kinyu and made a look. Grandpa. Kinyu also quickly stood up. I want you to recognize Mu Yun as a teacher. Are you willing? Qin Shianming suddenly spoke, and this sentence not only made Kinyu stunned for a moment, but even Mu Yun was stunned for a moment. After all, the age difference between the two is not big. Of course I do. After Kinyu reacted, he nodded repeatedly. Although the two were the same age, he had an inexplicable sense of conviction for Mu Yun. Mu Yun, are you willing to accept my unworthy descendant Kinyu as a disciple? Seeing Kinyu agree, Qin Shianming looked at Mu Yun again. After all, whether Kinyu could become Mu Yun's disciple in the end still depended on Mu Yun's meaning. Whether Kinyu is willing or not, it is useless. I'm not interested. Mu Yun waved his hand directly. He didn't want to accept a disciple as a burden for no reason. Although Kinyu is very good, whether it is in terms of combat effectiveness or personality, he is top notch. However, Mu Yun was still unwilling to accept Kinyu. As long as he accepted Kinyu, he would have an inextricable relationship with the Qin family. You become teacher Kinyu, and you will be an emperor master in the future. You will control many matters of the Qin family. Looking at Mu Yun, who directly refused, Qin Shianming did not have any surprises. After all, a man like Mu Yun like the wind would definitely reject this kind of thing. Imperial Master? I'm not interested. Even if you consider me a teacher now, I don't have any interest. Mu Yun waved his hand and spoke again. Imperial Master? Shit. Also, our Qin family will give you Imperial Master offerings on a regular basis. Qin Shianming knew that Mu Yun was not interested in this kind of name or the like. What offering? If this is the case, if the offering is enough, Mu Yun can still consider it. We, Hua Guo, have a Hua Qingqi. Did you know? Qin Shianming looked at Mu Yun and asked. Hua Qingqi? Isn't that where the concubine bathes? Hearing Qin Shianming's words, Mu Yun was a little confused. Tell yourself what a noble lady bathes for. It's that Huaqingqi. However, after the end of the world, Huaqingqi was surprised to find out. The originally dry pool suddenly overflowed with transparent liquid. The energy contained in it is extremely pure and extremely thick. The liquid in this can even forge bones. Qin Shianming informed Mu Yan of the changes in Huaqingqi. This Huaqingqi, there is such a change? Mu Yan finally understood why Qin Shianming suddenly mentioned the matter of Huaqingqi at this time. This matter, even if Mu Yan lived to the end, he had never heard of it. Because this is a secret of the Qin family. Qin Yu can have such a battle, he can do a leapfrog battle. It is because he has tempered his body and internal energy in the Huaqing pool. Qin Shianming said the benefits of Huaqingqi again. If you are willing to agree and become Qin Yu's teacher, our Qin family can allow you to forge your body once a year in the Huaqing pool. What do you think? Qin Shianming looked at Mu Yan and asked. It's not a reward. Mu Yan heard Qin Shianming's words, and now he really wanted to see the mystery of this Huaqing pond. Of course this does not count. This can only be regarded as your offering after becoming an imperial master. Seeing that Mu Yan showed signs of letting go, Qin Shianming quickly spoke. Then I'll think about it. Mu Yan still didn't agree immediately. What other conditions? Please say. Qin Shianming naturally knew that Mu Yan was not satisfied yet. Although I became Qin Yu's teacher, I'm also only Qin Yu's teacher. It has nothing to do with your Qin family. Mu Yan said bluntly. This is nature. Although Qin Shianming secretly cursed in his heart, he still agreed. Also, Qin Yu goes to the Dragon Court for 3 days every month. It's time for me to teach. Mu Yan spoke again. This. Okay. Now, as long as you can worship Mu Yan as a teacher, it doesn't matter if there are more conditions. I'll think about anything else. That's all for now. After thinking about it for a while, Mu Yan spoke. Qin Yu, don't hurry up to worship the teacher. After Mu Yan finished speaking, Qin Shianming breathed a sigh of relief and quickly opened his mouth to remind Qin Yu. Yes. Qin Yu greets the teacher. What the teacher says in the future. Let me go to the east and never go west. Qin Yu also quickly saluted, lest Mu Yan repent. That's it. You don't have to have so many rules. In the future, you will be my disciple. What is the matter? I will cover you. Mu Yan looked at the worship tea brought by Qin Yu and waved his hand, indicating that there was no need for so many rules. Yes. Thank you, teacher. Qin Yu quickly nodded, and Qin Shianming on the side also showed a smile. He waited for Mu Yan's words. Through this civil war, he understood that Qin Yu needed someone like Mu Yan too much. The entire Qin family, the entire Hua kingdom, needed people like Mu Yan too much. Now Mu Yan, only in his 20s, has such terrifying means and intelligence, and so many whole cards. The future is simply limitless. He Qin Shianming didn't have that kind of jealousy and jealous thoughts. If China wants to develop, it will definitely not be through civil war, let alone through internal friction. The development of China needs talents. Characters needed. Chapter 425. First of all, what is the reward for me for helping you calm the civil war? Now that the matter of accepting apprentices has been resolved, it is time for Mu Yan to be most interested in the link. Last time such a huge amount of materials, Qin Shianming took out the information of the spiritual vein. This time, he wanted to see Qin Shianming and take out something as a reward. I don't know if you've heard of the dark vein. Hearing Mu Yan's inquiry, Qin Shianming also spoke. Don't keep asking if I've heard of it. Have I heard of it? I know all these things you said. These things are not very esoteric things. I always ask myself if I have heard of it, and it seems that I have no knowledge of it. There is a dark vein in our Kyoto. This time, you helped our Qin family calm the internal strife, help us who are GUO, and resist foreign enemies. My Qin family is willing to give you the dark veins of Kyoto Underground. Qin Shianming had long thought of the reward to give Mu Yan. That's the dark vein of Kyoto. This dark vein was originally reserved for Qin Yu to use when he broke through the realm of kings. But now, he has worshipped you as a teacher, and the affairs of the king realm no longer need me to worry about. So this dark vein, let's give it to you as a reward. Qin Shianming spoke again. Arlene, you old fox. Mu Yan couldn't help but scold secretly. No wonder he let Qin Yu worship himself as a teacher. It turns out that I'm waiting for myself here. Now that Kinyu worshipped himself as a teacher, Kinyu really needed energy supply when he reached the time to break through the king, and Mu-Yun could not stand idly by. And this dark vein was originally prepared by Qin Shianming for Kinyu. At that time, Mu-Yun still had to take out the dark vein for Kinyu to break through. This Qin Shianming, one ring and one ring, is really an old fox. Little friend, don't get excited first. This dark vein was originally reserved for Kinyu to break through the realm of kings. But this dark vein, even if 100 Kinyu break through the king, it will not be consumed. The energy stored by this dark vein, it's huge. Looking at Mu-Yun, who was a little unhappy, Qin Shianming no longer sold Guanzi, but opened his mouth to explain. That's pretty much it. Hearing Qin Shianming's explanation, Mu-Yun nodded. Do you think you go to Tsinghua Pool first, or go to see the dark vein first? Qin Shianming asked Mu-Yun. Let's go see the dark vein first. Now the energy in Mu-Yun's body has been refined by the Queen Ant. If it weren't for Qin Shianming saying that the liquid of this Tsinghua Pool forged bones, Mu-Yun would not have agreed to Kinyu's request to worship the master. Now about Uakinchi, Mu-Yun is not very anxious. Okay, listen to Xiaoy Bao. Hearing Mu-Yun's answer, Qin Shianming led the way ahead and went to the location of the dark vein. Master. Qin Shianming turned around and entered a small alley. In the small alley, there are two 10th order superpowers guarding here. And through the two superpowers, Qin Shianming took Mu-Yun again and went underground. After all, this is a dark vein, a spiritual vein hidden underground. Here, as soon as he entered the underground, Mu-Yun felt a majestic energy. This is the dark vein. Originally, we were going to mine, but once we did, it would lead to the collapse of Kyoto. So we've always kept the dark veins here. Qin Shianming also felt a burst of comfort in this environment. Then you still tell me, I took it? Do you still want to find a way to prevent your Kyoto from collapsing? Mu-Yun couldn't help but smile angrily. This Qin Shianming was endearing. It was really not easy to take something in Qin Shianming's hands. How long and wide the dark vein is, we don't know now. So this matter really needs attention. Qin Shianming nodded and spoke. It's easy to talk about this. Just to prevent Kyoto from collapsing. This Mu-Yun can do it. The small world is here. Anyway, there is still a large area that has not been used. All used to hold stones and the like. As much as the dark vein is mined, it will be filled with stones and the like. And this Kyoto cannot collapse. If you want to collapse, can Xiaoya really do it? Hearing that Mu-Yun directly agreed to come down, Qin Shianming asked with some disbelief. Do you want to give me the dark vein, or do you not want to give it to me? First give me a problem. I can solve this problem for you now. What kind of moth do you want? Mu-Yun looked at Qin Shianming and asked. Little friend, I didn't mean that. Originally, I thought that if Xiaoyao is troublesome, I can find someone in Kyoto to help Xiaoyao. Qin Shianming quickly opened his mouth to explain. After all, since Mu-Yun said that he could solve this matter, there would be no problem. No, I can solve it myself. Mu-Yun waved his hand, indicating that he didn't need anyone's help. After reading this dark vein, are we going to talk to Huakinchi now? Qin Shianming was on the side and asked. Okay, go to Huakinchi and take a look. Mu-Yun nodded, followed Qin Shianming's footsteps, and went to Huaking Pond. Little friend, are you entering Huaking Pool now for body forging, or have you waited for a while? After Qin Shianming brought Mu-Yun to Huaking Pond, he asked. Wait a minute. Mu-Yun did not answer this question, but approached Huakinchi and put his finger into Huakinchi. Click, click. Mu-Yun felt that the energy of his fingers did not change at all. However, the bones of his fingers are making sounds, and with the sound, the bones of his fingers become like jade. It really works. Mu-Yun felt the change in his fingers and nodded. If it is to change the energy, Mu-Yun still needs to consider it. After all, the energy of Mu-Yun's body was refined by the Queen Ant. The Queen Ant has the strength of the top 3 in the universe. The refined energy is definitely much stronger than the energy refined by a Huaking Pool in Huajiuo. And this Huaking Pool is to strengthen the bones. This Mu-Yun does not have to think about it. I'll do the forging now. After Mu-Yun finished speaking, he was ready to enter the Huaking Pool. Little friend, wait a minute. Just as Mu Yun was about to enter the Huaking pool, Qin Xianming suddenly spoke again. What's wrong again? Mu Yun turned around helplessly and asked. This Qin Xianming was shocked. One question after another. You need to strip naked. Qin Xianming smiled awkwardly and spoke. Stripped? Mu Yun nodded after listening. Anyway, the three old men, it doesn't matter if they can't take off their clothes. Brush. Although this liquid looks like clear water, transparent and crystal clear. But this is not clear water after all, and the consistency in it is like fermented yogurt. Boom. As soon as Mu Yun entered the Huaking pool, he heard the sound of bones. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.